Yeah, I don't know what, like, I don't know what my top 10 is, and I don't know what game I would push out of my top 10, but that's one thing I definitely need to do, is make a top 10 list. I'd love a place where we could see each other's lists. Maybe use them to combine for a community top 10. Dude, you know what I want to do? I want to, like, collect everyone's top 10s and then just literally average it. Like, just see what, if it was literally just an average, what it would be. Alright, so Final Fantasy VII, obvious. Favorite game of all time. The game that got me into gaming. The game that made my career. It's basically not even a game to me anymore. I tend to literally be in this game every day, doing something. So there'll never be a time in my life where it's not number one. Now, number two actually changed, because it used to be Final Fantasy X, but then I played Celeste. And so the thing about Celeste is, you know, you have games where the story really speaks to you, right? Like a game that it just feels like the game was made for you. Like you play it, and whatever it is you're going through in life at the moment, the game just speaks directly to that, and it feels like it's literally you in the game playing it. Then you have games that just mechanically really attach to you. You just, every single time you play it, you get better. Every single time you have fun playing it, like the mechanics never get old. And you like it so much that you decide to like speed run it or challenge run it or just continue getting better and better at it after the game's already way over. Because just mechanically it just clicks with you. Then you have games where the music is so good that you listen to it outside the game. Just all the time, just listening to the soundtrack, even though you haven't played the game in months. Just the music itself just speaks to you. And then you have games that, whether or not it's your favorite game of all time, you just spent like 5,000 hours playing it. But maybe it's a multiplayer game, maybe it's a game you speedran, but whatever it is, you just spent thousands and thousands of hours playing it, and therefore you kind of have to consider it somewhat one of your favorite games. And yes, as Mavic said, Celeste is all of those for me. Literally all of those. The story felt like it was literally me. Now, granted, my struggles are a bit different than the main characters. But it all kind of leads to the same exact thing of climbing a mountain and really just allowing grit to get you through moments and not just admitting defeat, but going through that impossible task, overcoming an impossible task with your own impossible grit. That's kind of like where it really spoke to me. Yeah, and then of course I've played it for thousands of hours. I've speedran it for many years. The music I still listen to this day. You know, all those things I mentioned are all Celeste. So yeah, Celeste very handily became my second favorite game of all time. I don't think it's going to move anytime soon, which is crazy because it's a newer game, but yeah, I don't think Celeste is going anywhere anytime soon. I think these two are pretty locked in place for a very long time. How did I discover Celeste? Tropton said it to me. When Tropton visited for that week, when he was here for like a week, he randomly said, "You have to play this game." Just, it was literally a fan donation, just like, play this game for an hour. You have to play this. When he was physically here, he was like, "You have to play it." And I was like, well, I have to. I mean, you physically visited me. I have to play the game you're mentioning. And the first time I played Celeste was on stream. I played it on stream with Celeste, with Tropton sitting next to me. Okay, so number 3, Final Fantasy X. I think this is pretty much a lock as well. It used to be my second favorite game before Celeste. Why is this song so loud? The world kind of speaks to me. Like, I've talked a lot about Final Fantasy X's world and how, like, it's just really cool how expansive it is. When I was a kid, I thought it was insane that they came up with not one but two different languages for the people to speak and for you to actually learn. And all the different races of character and different cities, and it just all was like crazy. Like, it was the massiveness of the world and how real it felt, like, really blew me away. And it was the first PS2 game I played with, like, graphics that kind of blew me away too, you know? And then on top of that, it has some of my favorite music of all time. Wandering Flames will always be a song that, like, is close to my heart. Yuna is, I've said many times, is probably my favorite character of all time. I like all the other characters as well, but so yeah. And then I've also have quite the history of challenge running Final Fantasy X as well. So yeah, don't think Final Fantasy X is going anywhere. Now is where it gets interesting. So BioShock Infinite has always stuck out to me for basically one of my favorite, like, gaming experiences. I remember finishing BioShock Infinite and just being, like, in awe. Like, I just sat there for like 10 minutes just staring at the credits, thinking about the story and how everything had changed and how I, like, really wanted to play through the game again to see everything in a new perspective. And it really sold me on the idea of having, like, this gotcha moment at the end of a game that changes the game the next time you play it. Very similar to Final Fantasy VII, where you play through Final Fantasy VII, you learn about Cloud's past, and then you can play through the game again, and you pick up on all these little details that you didn't the first time. BioShock Infinite is that times, like, 10. Like, the second playthrough of BioShock Infinite is so incredibly interesting because you know the elephant in the room the second time through. And I just loved that. I loved that idea. And if I ever make a game, I want to do the same thing where, like, you play through it once, and then the second time you play through it, you have some kind of, like, extra, you know, the elephant, and you can watch through again or play through again and get this new meaning out of certain things. And yeah, OG BioShock does that too. So yeah, and also I really like the interactions between the main characters. The gameplay is very fun. It's not like my favorite gameplay of all time, but it's good. Yeah, you know, I was looking around while I was trying to come up with the games to put on this list, and there's so many games that I know as soon as I play them, they're probably going to be on this list. Stuff like Nier Automata, you know, Final Fantasy VI is 100% going to be in my top 20 at the very least once I play through it again. I just feel a bit weird putting it up there when I've only played through it once. But it's definitely going to be up there, you know, like, there's so many games that I still have to play that I know are going to end up very, very high. But we can only deal with what we got for now. So yeah, I'm pretty confident putting BioShock Infinite high. I just don't know if it's number 4. So let's move on. We got Legend of Legaia. Legend of Legaia is my greatest, I don't want to say guilty pleasure because it's an amazing game, but I hold this game in a much higher regard than it deserves, I guess. I don't know. I think it's like one of the best games ever made. And that's probably like super crazy to say, but it truly blows me away how much detail is put into the characters and how awesome the combat is for a game that was not a main Square Enix game, Nintendo game, Sony game. This was their own small studio that made this. It's not indie. by any means, but it's a smaller studio that's defunct now. And I think Sony published it. But yeah, studio's gone now. No one knows them. No one cares about them. But they somehow came together. All the planets aligned. And they just created like an absolute masterpiece PS1 RPG that just completely blows every game of its time out of the water. So it's wild. I was very invested in the speedrunning scene for this game for a while. I helped out, quote unquote, helped out with the routing. I don't think anything I ever found ever even made it into the run, but just, you know, I was like invested enough to try to help and come up with strats and stuff at the time. Yeah, I mean, this game just, and like you can tell how much love I have for this game if you watch my Let's Play of it, because I'm just gushing about every little thing, every second of the playthrough. So, yeah, just, I love Legend of Legaia. Do I love it more than BioShock Infinite? That's a hard choice. I feel like I'm more willing to play through BioShock Infinite than I am Legend of Legaia, but that might just be because it's more of an investment. I don't know. Even right now, I feel like I could go play some Legend of Legaia just randomly and enjoy it, whereas BioShock Infinite, I kind of have to like invest myself to do it. Also, one thing I forgot to mention about Infinite is that I'm a big fan of like the music of Infinite and the time period of Infinite, and that old style, just that all the BioShock games have. I'm really into that kind of stuff, so that also resonated with me a lot. Also, the DLC for BioShock Infinite is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The DLC for how's it going, Dynamics? The DLC, especially the final DLC for BioShock Infinite, might be the greatest DLC I've ever played. It blew me away. It was so good. In contrast, the DLC, the Arena DLC, yikes. But the story DLC, oh my god. So good. Yeah, I mean, Infinite does have, like, I have some gripes with Infinite, for sure. It does not have that same vibe that the old BioShocks had. It's a bit of a shorter game. It's not perfectly, like, you know, I've run into glitches and stuff in the game before. It's not perfectly made by any means. People gave it, like, 10 out of 10s when it came out, and I kind of disagree with that. Like, I love the game as a 10 out of 10, but if I were to actually give it an unbiased rating, it would not be a 10 out of 10. Legend of Legaia, I'd probably give like a 15 out of 10 if I were IGN back in the day. Maybe not so much now, but when Legend of Legaia dropped, it deserved a 20 out of 10. Like, it's just unbelievable how good it was for who made it and the time period it came out. I just think it was so ahead of its time. Like, just so ahead of its time. Yeah, there's still nothing like it. BioShock Infinite is an FPS. It has some cool mechanics, but it's an FPS at the end of the day. Like, where it really shines is its themes and storytelling and stuff. It's not necessarily a groundbreaking game. Also, BioShock Infinite had no online multiplayer, and BioShock 2 did. Not that online multiplayer I really care much about in BioShock, but actually I really liked BioShock 2's multiplayer. And BioShock Infinite not having it was kind of a eh. So like I said, like BioShock Infinite is not a 10 out of 10 for me at all. You know, favorites wise it is, but in terms of like a game, I do think it has flaws. You know nothing about BioShock? I don't know if I would recommend it to you just because I know what kind of games you like, but if you know nothing at all about it, you definitely have an amazing experience ahead of you if you decide to play BioShock 1. Like, if you just grab the remaster, it's normally like $5. It's like insanely cheap. And you play BioShock 1, you could have a really amazing experience going in knowing nothing about it. Because that's the way I did with BioShock 1, and it just blew me away. Like, it really is nothing you expect. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I have BioShock on my must-play list, because I think it's a game that everyone should play in terms of game theory. Which I know Mavic's really into game theory, so I would recommend it to you just for game theory-wise. That's why I put it on my must-play list. My must-play list is more of like a, you know, if you're a video game creator or video game developer, video game reviewer, you should play these games. And I put BioShock on there. I really do think that it's important to games. Important to gaming, I would say. BioShock Infinite, not so much. But BioShock 1, I think everyone should play. And it's a pretty short game, so. If you're a video game gamer. Anyways, yeah, man, I've always said that BioShock Infinite is like top 5, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's really just that experience I had, which is still valid. Still very valid. The experience I had with Infinite will be in my memory for the rest of my life. Like, I'll never forget the day I beat that game. I remember where I was sitting. I remember what I was doing. I remember everything about that moment when I beat that game. But I think I like Legend of Legaia more. I think Legend of Legaia is my 4th favorite game right now. Now, God of War. So you might be like, why do you have the original God of War on here? Well, the original God of War was like my coming of age game. And I don't mean that in a weird way. But it was like the first game I played, if you know what I mean. Like, it was the first game that, like, you know, I was getting a bit older. I was at the point where, like, my parents weren't necessarily refusing to buy me M-rated games anymore. And I remember I played it. I think I borrowed it from a friend, because I don't think I went and bought it. But, like, I think I borrowed it from a friend. And here's the thing. So, like, it was the first time I had ever seen nudity in a game. Just straight up. Which, like, I wasn't really at the age yet where that was, like, you know, it was not changing my life. It wasn't like I became a man in that moment or anything. But it was one of those moments where it was like, this is what video games could be. Like it really opened my eyes to, like, there's more to video games than just, like, jumping on platforms, you know? Like, there's more to video games than just, like, having fun pressing buttons. And even, like, the story, because Final Fantasy VII showed me what a story could be. But, yeah, just kind of, like, it kind of opened my eyes to, like, video games can be other things other than just a story and pressing buttons. It was the first game that was, like, brutally violent that I played. Yeah, and to be clear, for those of you that haven't played the original God of War, it's not, like, really crazy. It's literally topless nudity, and then there's a mini game where the camera goes off screen and you don't see anything. So it's not like I had my first prawn experience playing God of War. Like I said, it wasn't that insane, but, like, you know. But it was the first, like, really violent video game I played. And it really opened my eyes to, like, I mean, because I played, like, Doom growing up, the original Doom, and that game's very violent, but you don't really, as a kid, you don't really connect because there's not as much brutal, like, it's not as visceral. Doom has, like, a lot of blood, but, like, it's not visceral. It's not as visceral. God of War I played and I was like, whoa, this is great. Like, this is insane. We're ripping out spines. We're, you know, ripping the eyeballs out of enemies and then shoving it down their throats. Like, you know, crazy insane. But I think what God of War did the most for me is it, well, okay, Doom has Doom has severe imagery, but I was a kid. I didn't even like realize what it was. Like I didn't really realize that like half the stuff I was looking at was what it was. You know, like I was just like, ooh, shoot the demons. Like I played Doom really young, so yeah, I was like very blind to it. God of War, I was just at that age where I was starting to like see movies that were R-rated and play games that were M-rated, and it was really starting to like click. So, but what God of War really did for me more than all of that is it basically like cemented in my brain that I really liked Greek mythology. So I was really into Greek mythology before God of War came out, but I didn't really know how to express it at all. I had these old encyclopedias that like this old A to Z encyclopedia set. My mom had it and she gave it to me and it was in my room. And I used to pull it out and find Greek mythology in the encyclopedias and just read about Greek gods and stuff. And I thought it was so cool. But I didn't really know like anything else other than just what I read in those encyclopedias. And then I played God of War and it felt like the first time that it was really like, this is Greek mythology in a video game. And I got to see the Greek gods that I like read in the encyclopedia. And I learned like more about how they live in like ancient Greece and stuff. Like I didn't know anything about any of that. I just knew like the gods' names and what they were, you know, what they represented. I didn't know anything about like Greek culture and how like what old Greek buildings looked like and what like the music, all of that. Like none of that was connecting. It was just, here's the god, here's what they were a god of, right? So God of War connected all the dots. It was like, oh, this is what Greece was like, and this is what culturally, this is what the music sounded like, this is what people sounded like, this is how they talked and stuff. Like all that stuff connected for me when I played God of War. So that was honestly a big part of it. Was like I was just super into like the mythology. And even like the use of nudity because back then that was like a very big thing. Like a lot of murals and paintings were nude and like they expressed themselves through that. So like that even connected too. So yeah, God of War is a very like important game to my childhood. I've played through the original God of War many times, and I've played all the other God of Wars, and I'm still working through the new ones. But in terms of the old trilogy, I played through them when they came out, and then played through them again when they got remastered, and platinumed them both times. And well, platinum God of War the first time because the first one was on PS2; it didn't have trophies. But yeah, I mean, if a new God of War dropped today, if they came out with like a God of War 4K, it just had more trophies, I would instantly start playing it and platinum it again. I will pick this game up any day and play it. The combat, just the whole like perfect block combat, I just loved it. That instant gratification you get when you perfect block something. I just love it. Do I love it more than BioShock Infinite? God, that's hard. That's hard because I like them kind of in the same ways. Like God of War, I love the Greek mythology. BioShock Infinite, I love the time period. I like the gameplay way more in God of War. But I like the character interactions more in BioShock Infinite. Man, it feels weird pushing Bioshock Infinite so far down. But like, because I've always said it's like my fourth favorite game. When people have asked recently, I usually say it's my fourth favorite. But I don't know, I keep holding on to like that moment I had when I beat it, but everything else is kind of like eh. But then there's the DLC, which I really love too. I think that it probably exists either here or here. It's just where. I don't know. I think that I think I gotta let go of Bioshock Infinite. I think it's gonna go lower. We'll see. Okay. So now we have Advance Wars Dual Strike. Advance Wars Dual Strike is one of my most played games ever. I take it on every vacation I've ever taken in my life. And I pretty much always play it when I'm on vacation. It's just my vacation game. I also speedran it for a time. I currently have the world record in it. And yeah, it's just my favorite tactics game. I'm very picky about tactics games, and it's probably because of this game, because every game I play, I'm like, I'll just play Advance Wars instead. The music in the game is incredible. I love the characters. The story is but the characters is what really makes it awesome. Also, Advance Wars Dual Strike is a bit of an outlier because I don't really like the next game, Days of Ruin, very much. It's okay, but it has a lot of problems. And the previous games also have a lot of problems, with the exception of Advance Wars 2 is incredible. I played it for the first time last year, and I couldn't put it down. It's like Advance Wars Dual Strike, but just a bit more simple, I guess. Which makes sense, because it's the game before. But yeah, like I played the original Advance Wars, and I was like, this is kind of... I don't know about this. But then I played 2, and I was like, this is the good stuff. I can see why people love that game over Dual Strike, if anything. But yeah, Dual Strike is definitely my favorite and the one I grew up with. Do I like it more than Bioshock Infinite? Probably not. Just because I've played it for thousands of hours doesn't necessarily mean it means more to me than Bioshock Infinite. But I've played it way more than any of these games. Any of the Final Fantasy X, maybe, but not anywhere close. I mean, I've played Advance Wars more than these 3 combined times 2. Yeah, Dual Strike's the first DS game. But just because I played it a lot doesn't mean I like it more. It's just that type of game where you can just replay it a bunch. Well, it's not even just that. It's that type of game. Bioshock Infinite is not the type of game that you play for thousands of hours, unless you're speedrunning it. Like, it's the type of game you play through once and you remember the experience, and then you might play through it again. Maybe later you play through it again, but it's not the type of game you continually play. It doesn't even have a multiplayer. But Advance Wars Dual Strike is the type of game you put hundreds of hours in. Just, that's the type of game it is. I'm gonna leave it here for now. All right, this is really tough for me. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. So, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. So, Kingdom Hearts is like probably the second most important series to me. There's a reason that I'm currently getting every single trophy in the entire series, and even playing through the Chinese version of Kingdom Hearts 3 to do so. If this were a top 10 series list, it would be number 2 without a doubt. Like, it's not even close. But the thing is, like, I enjoy the series more than each individual game, if that makes any sense at all. Like, I think every game has its merits and every game has its flaws. But overall, the story, the characters, the moments, like, it all sticks with me in, like, the whole fandom. I wouldn't say I'm really a part of the fandom, but I do, like, stay up to date with the speedruns. I stay up to date with the news on the newest game. I even played the mobile game for a bit, but couldn't stick with it because mobile games. But yeah, like, Kingdom Hearts definitely means a lot to me. And I mean, I even, like, think about the characters. I mean, I have a freaking Keyblade. My wife gave me a Keyblade for Christmas like a few years ago. I have a bunch of Kingdom Hearts memorabilia. I have way more Kingdom Hearts stuff than really anything else. I might have more Kingdom Hearts stuff than I have Final Fantasy stuff. It's close. So, yeah, my best friend who passed away had a giant Kingdom Hearts tattoo on his back, and it was something that we really loved together. If I had ever gotten a tattoo in my life, it would have been a Kingdom Hearts tattoo when he got his. That would have been, you know, he almost talked me into it. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts has always meant a lot. But what's tough is that, like I said, there's not really a game that sticks out. Kingdom Hearts 2 has definitely got to be my favorite game in the series. But Kingdom Hearts 1 is the one that I kind of have the most fond memories of. But if I had to pick one to play forever, it would be 2. So that's why I put 2 up here to start. Oh, it's hard, man. I don't know. So, like, it's definitely more than Advance Wars. Let's just say that. Yeah, and that's kind of what it is, too. It's definitely more than Bioshock Infinite. It's definitely more than God of War. Is it more than Legend of Legaia? I think so. I mean, just the fact that I think about it every day versus Legend of Legaia, I do not. I'm gonna put it there. I'm not putting it above Final Fantasy X. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking best games or like most influential games, it's a whole different discussion, because I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is goated. Like, I talked about this when we looked at the IGN top 100 list of best RPGs. Kingdom Hearts 2 was like 80th, and I was like, you guys are completely out of your mind. And that list had some absolutely awful takes, but I think that was one of the worst. The game changed RPGs forever. 100%. Anyways. Alright. Now, Horizon Forbidden West. This is the game that started this conversation. The reason we're doing this right now is because I said, I think Forbidden West is in my top 10 now. And then I was like, wait, what is my top 10? And then this whole discussion started. This game really spoke to me, man. Like, holy cow. And, you know, it's a bit of a glitchy mess at times. And it's definitely not a perfect game. And it's also a bit derivative of the first one. Granted, it does everything so much better. But no, this game spoke to me on so many levels. It's really wild. Being a communication major and seeing how they improved from the first game, they went from a game that... So Zero Dawn was a really great game, but one of its biggest flaws was the character interactions. A lot of the reviewers said, like, you know, the character interactions are stiff, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. They went from a game whose biggest flaw was the character interactions to making a game where I think the character interactions are the best I've ever seen in a video game. So, like, that improvement alone blew me away. But being a communication major and understanding stuff like nonverbal communication and some of the smaller nuances, I'm no absolute expert. I only have a 4-year degree in it. I don't have a 10-year degree in it. But knowing a bit more of the nuances of communication and stuff, it completely blew me away how good the characters interact with each other, how they, like, just the details are insane. And even down just the voice acting. But what gets me about this game is I'm not usually the type of person that really likes open world games. Like open world games, I tend to just stick to the mission, and then maybe I'll do some goofing off at some point, but then other than that, I'll just stick to the missions and then, you know, finish the game and be done. Horizon Forbidden West is the first game since like GTA 3 that I just genuinely love running around the world. I just genuinely love booting up the game and just going around and interacting with NPCs and doing little side quests that you'd think wouldn't matter and exploring things and just living in the world. And yeah, I've just never had that feeling with really any other game. Back way in the back of the day when I played GTA 3 at a friend's house, I enjoyed exploring the world, but it was more of just because I had never played a game like that before, and it like blew my mind how big the world even was. But I think this is the first open world game to truly capture my imagination. And every time I go do some random side quest for some random NPC, it ends up being as good as a main quest in some other game. And it's just crazy. The quality of the quests. It's just mind-blowing. I was playing the DLC and I ran into a character that was from the first game. And I thought it was just a little like, hey, here's this character from the first game. Remember him? And it turned into like one of the most emotional quests I've ever played. Like, it was just like, hey, I'm looking for my friend. And then like suddenly it's one of the most emotional moments I've had in a video game. And this was literally, I was on a different mission and I just ran into him. It wasn't even like a side quest I knew existed. I was just going to do something else. And I'm like, I opened this door and suddenly it's just there. And then it became like one of the coolest side quests. So it's just such an alive, awesome world. It does have its flaws, like I said. The puzzles in the game are dumb. It's glitchy. The gameplay gets a bit repetitive, although that's more of my fault for sticking with the same gameplay mechanics instead of experimenting. But overall, it's a phenomenal game. The story's also really good. The music's also really freaking good. The first time you fly in this game and you hear that music, it's like so crazy. So where does it rank? Well, I just finished it a few months ago, so like I don't think it's cooked enough for me to put it like insanely high. But I do think I can comfortably put it here. Like, I think this is a good spot for it, actually. It needs to cook a bit longer before I put it higher. But even having only played it like a few months ago and just finishing the DLC a couple days ago, I still think it belongs here for now. We'll see what happens. Okay. Now we got a weird one. Call of Duty Black Ops 3. We'll talk about Call of Duty in general later when we get to Call of Duty 4, but Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is literally just here because of zombies. If you know anything about me, zombies is a game mode that's been close to my heart for a very long time. It's my go-to game when there's nothing else I want to play. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours playing it and mastering it, and I did a whole series for Hollow Month called Zombies Master Challenge, where I talk in depth about how much zombies means to me as a game mode. So I will spare you the details. It's really just here because of zombies. So where does it sit in my top 10. I feel like probably there. And I mean, like I said, literally just cross this off and just write zombies instead, because like it has nothing really to do with Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 is just the one, probably the one. It's the GOAT of zombies, so like it makes sense. But this kind of includes all of zombies. I mean, I've literally played zombies like I'll play it for a couple months, an hour or two a day, and then I'll stop, and then I'll play it again for a couple months, and then stop, and then play it again for a couple months, and then stop, over the course of like 15 years. So it's hard to not put it above a game that I've literally only beat like 3 times. You know what I mean? And again, just because you play it a lot doesn't mean it ranks higher, but like that says a lot. I mean, it's a very big part of my life. So like, yeah. I don't think I can put it above Kingdom Hearts 2 though. I think it sits there. Okay, so this is my current top 10, but we have a lot more games to look at. So let's go into the games that I didn't immediately put in my top 10, but are at least in the running. Okay, Pikmin. Oh my god, I freaking love Pikmin so much. You guys don't understand how much I love Pikmin. I've been thinking about Pikmin daily for the past year. Because like a year ago, I was like, I need to do a Pikmin event. I need to show my community how much I love Pikmin. We need to do a Pikmin event soon. And then freaking ever since then, we've had things going on, and the Pikmin event has not happened yet. And I keep saying like, I'm going to do a Pikmin event, and then like Rebirth gets announced, and I'm like, okay, I can't. Or Hollow Month happens, or Indie Gauntlet happens, or something happens, and I don't have time to sit down and play through like 4 Pikmin games. But good lord, I freaking love Pikmin so much. If you go back in the archives of my YouTube channel, you will see a Pikmin 1 challenge and a Pikmin 2, the start of a Pikmin 2 challenge. Pikmin's one of the first games I ever challenge ran. I challenge ran Pikmin like at the same time I was challenge running Final Fantasy X back in the day. And it was kind of one of the first games I ever like speed ran, because I didn't really speed run it, but the challenge run is kind of speed running it, because the challenge run was to beat it in a certain amount of days. So in a way, it was like a speed run and a challenge run. But yeah, man, I freaking love Pikmin. The question is, do I love it more than Horizon Forbidden West? That's hard, because Forbidden West still has to cook for me. Yeah, I think we're gonna sub the door out. Yeah, Horizon Forbidden West. Oh, it's so hard. Okay, I think I'm gonna put it... I think I'm gonna put it there for now. Dude, is Bioshock Infinite gonna end up off my top 10 list? This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay. Metroid Prime is one of the greatest games I ever played in my life. I used to play Metroid Prime over and over again as a kid. I have a guidebook where I would check mark each item I got as I went through the game, and every item in my guidebook has like 5 check marks next to it because I did like 5 separate playthroughs where I went through my guidebook and checked everything as I was going. I played through it so many times. I haven't played the remaster yet, and I need to. I also really liked Metroid Prime 2, actually, but not as much as the first. I've heard the remaster is really good, dude. I've heard it's really, really good. I think Metroid Prime beats Horizon. And it's so crazy to me to put Advance Wars so low. Oh, this is so hard. Okay. I keep looking at Advance Wars and I'm like, why is it so low? I guess just because it's like a... Like, it didn't leave an impression on me. Like, the story is nothing. Yeah, thank you for giving this up to Solstice. Yeah, thank you for giving this up to Timmy. Yeah, thank you for giving this up to everybody in the whole chat. Number Seal. Thank you for these 79 months. Crazy. Thank you so much. Cannot thank you enough for being here since the beginning, man. Seriously. Thank you so much. Don't look at any of these placements yet, because we're not there. They're just chilling. Oh my god, dude. I can't with Advance Wars. Okay. Okay, alright. I'm making an executive decision. Advance Wars is going higher. It's going there. I played, like, It didn't make a lasting impression on me, but man, I literally play this game every year. I play it every time I go on vacation. Like I don't know, man. I used to make maps all the time. I think it needs to be higher. Okay. So Metroid Prime, does it beat Pikmin? I don't think so. It's close. It's really close. But like Metroid Prime, I don't have the desire to go back to Metroid Prime as much as I have the desire to go back to Pikmin. And maybe it's just because I haven't played Pikmin in a while. Maybe I'm biased at this particular moment, but I feel like it doesn't beat it at this particular moment. So I'm gonna leave it there. To be clear, Metroid Prime literally... Pikmin is wet toilet paper in comparison to Metroid Prime in terms of best games. But in terms of my favorite games, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay. Oh man, this is gonna be so tough. Oh god. Okay. Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger might be my choice for the best game ever made. But I've only beaten it twice. And it's still relatively new to me. You know, relative to these other games. Like, these top 10 games are literally my childhood, with the exception of Celeste. I mean, this is like hundreds and hundreds of hours, games that I think about on a daily basis. Like, this is me. Chrono Trigger is a game I didn't even play until a few years ago. And I only played through the second time recently. Having said that, it's probably the greatest game ever made. And I respect it as the greatest game ever made. And the more I learn about it, and the more that I do research for this video I'm currently making about it, the more I love it. I didn't grow up with Celeste. I said, except Celeste. That's what's so crazy about Celeste, is that, like, only came out a couple years ago, and it's still by far my second favorite game. All right, I'm making an executive decision. Again, this is only favorites. This has nothing to do with the quality of the game. I know, I couldn't put Neon White on here because I haven't even finished it yet. I can't decide if it goes... All right, you know what? I'm actually gonna put it higher than I was gonna put it here. But because of even just the music, man, because I listen to the music like so often. It's right there on the screen, Tamari. Send it to that email. Make sure you rank them too. Like, actually give them numbers. Man, it's so hard, dude, because I've only... Making a top 10 is impossible, man. It really is. It's impossible. Like, I can't imagine a top 10 without Pikmin. But, like, there's no way Pikmin's making it. There's zero way. And I've also told people for a very long time that Bioshock Infinite is in my top 5. It's not even going to be in my top 10. Like, it's not going to make it. It's not going to make it into my top 10. All right. Listen, Chrono Trigger, I just met you and this is crazy. You're going here. Call me maybe. That's really freaking high for a game I've only played twice, but dude, I listen to Chrono Trigger music daily. And after doing all this research for this video I'm doing, like, it's just... I truly think that if I had played Chrono Trigger when I was a kid, it would be my second favorite game. I really do. I mean, maybe Celeste overtook it. Okay, it's my third favorite. I think if I had played Chrono Trigger as a kid, it would be my third favorite game. And again, I think it's probably the greatest RPG ever made. But in terms of favorites, I can't put it over games that I've literally spent my whole life playing. But I can put it over God of War, a game that meant a lot to me as a kid, but isn't necessarily a game I play right now. And I can put it above Bioshock Infinite, a game that really, it's the ending that sticks out to me more than anything else. Alright. Another tough one. Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX used to be my second favorite Final Fantasy. And then I played Final Fantasy X. I would still rate Final Fantasy IX my third favorite Final Fantasy. That's why it's on here. I wanted to put Final Fantasy XII, but I didn't want to fill the entire list with Final Fantasy games. I also want to put Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy V, but I put them in honorable mention because I really only played them for the first time last year. But as it stands, Final Fantasy IX is still my third favorite Final Fantasy. It has been in my top 10 pretty much my whole life. But is it now? Well, it's definitely better than Horizon Forbidden West. It's definitely better than Metroid Prime. It's definitely better than Pikmin. Do I like Final Fantasy IX more than Bioshock Infinite? Yeah. Do I like Final Fantasy IX more than God of War? Yeah. Do I like Final Fantasy IX more than Chrono Trigger? It's kind of a hard choice. It's crazy because I used to put it here. But like, you know, Kingdom Hearts 2 and Zombies are like so much more a part of my life that I feel like it just makes sense for it to be lower. Don't make Vivi sad. I don't know. My current feeling is here. I feel like it's gonna move, but my current feeling is here. When I played through it again in Final Fantathon, I don't think it hit me as much as it did when I was a kid. And it does have its slow parts as well. kind of want to put it above. Kind of want to put it under Chrono Trigger. Yeah, I mean, it does. Well, like it kind of meanders around my head too. I have like different feelings about it on different days, but I just remember really like loving Zidane and loving Vivi and the whole like the game is a master class in character interaction. Zidane, Vivi, and Steiner, those three together is absolute next level character design. It's insane how good those three characters are together. The way that it makes you love Vivi immediately, the way that it kind of gets you in the head of Zidane, the way that it endears you to Steiner even though he's in the wrong. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Then you have characters that are just mind-blowing before they even say a word, like Beatrix. Everyone freaking loves Beatrix, and they couldn't even tell you why they like her. That's how good her character design is. You just look at her and you're like, this is my favorite character of all time. You don't even know why. She hasn't done anything yet. And you're just like, this character's incredible. And then there's Freya. Oh my god. You're making me want to put this higher. I gotta move this down. Yeah, I don't know. 9 is so hard to place because it does have its problems, but like the characters alone. I'm gonna say because of like the problems I have with the combat and the stealing mechanics and the pacing, I'll go ahead and put it here. But like it could easily go here. Easily. Tomorrow I could wake up and be like, what am I doing? It goes there, obviously. But right now I'm gonna put it there. Alright. Oh my god, this gets harder and harder. Where do I put Hollow Knight? Hollow Knight feels like somebody entered my brain and they were like, I can make a game out of this. That's how it feels. When I was playing Hollow Knight, I was like, did they make this for me? I just really fell in love with Hollow Knight's world. I mean, I got like the Wanderer's Journal behind me, and like I got a Zote stuffy, like just the world and like like I just love it. You could buy me anything from Hollow Knight and I will enjoy it, you know? Just the look of it is so me. I got my Hollow Knight hoodie on right now. I even realized. So it's a sign. All right. Let's just think about this. So, better than Horizon, yes. Better than Metroid Prime, yes. God, it gets hard even here. Better than Pikmin, I'll say yes. Better than BioShock, I'll say yes. Better than God of War, I'll say yes. Better than Chrono Trigger, I don't think so. I think it stops there. Again, only favorites. We're talking only favorites here. I haven't had enough time with Hollow Knight to put it above something like Final Fantasy IX and Chrono Trigger, which I feel like right now are like basically holding hands. Yeah, it's weird. God of War and BioShock Infinite are not speaking to me. Maybe it's just today, but I think they've just kind of fallen. I think that BioShock Infinite and God of War have just fallen down the list over time. Honestly, that's just kind of how I feel. Like they're important to me, but like, you know, just over time, they've just not been the type of game where I felt like I need to play this again. You know, I have my memories with them, but yeah. All right. This might be the hardest one of the entire list. Final Fantasy VII Remake. It feels cheap to put this really high. You know, like I almost feel like it should go an honorable mention. But like, well, you gotta realize, like, this is Castlevania Lament of Innocence. It's my favorite Castlevania game. It's not the greatest by any means. But it's my favorite. I grew up with it. I grew up with that one and Dawn of Sorrow. Both amazing games, but Lament of Innocence is a bit of a chunker. It's a bit of a chunky PS2 game. Man, what do I do with the remake, man? It's so hard, because, like, I really loved Remake. But, like, my feelings on it are still all over the place, especially because of, like, it's not technically finished yet. I mean, listen, I was all in on the remake, man. Played it every day, made all the content about it, went very in-depth with it, made a materia guide on it, did challenge runs of it, did the top secrets with no materia. Like, I challenge ran this game. I would have speed ran this game if it were shorter. It made me feel like a kid again. It made me feel like I was experiencing my favorite game again. I actually, like, not only did it feel like I was playing my childhood game all over again, but then I actually loved the combat enough to challenge run it. The moment with Barret is like one of my favorite moments in video game history now. I had my issues with the ending, but at the same time, I didn't hate it. I liked that it did something different. I liked that I didn't know what was going to happen in my favorite game again. But it's also got this hindrance of like, well, it's not over. It's not done yet. And we don't know where it's going yet. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard. truly, I feel like they did the original justice, and it's a new thing that I can enjoy, and the combat was good enough for me to challenge run it, and the music is incredible. Oh my god, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. I really do. I feel like remake for me can exist in a vacuum. My experience, like that day that we played remake for the first time, and I had my entire community with me, embarking on this adventure that we had waited like 15 years for, and just the experience of playing it with everyone, like I will never forget that. I will never forget that moment that I hit new game on the remake. I mean, that alone makes it like number 2. Like, just, you know, like, man. That was like a moment in my life I'll never forget. Rebirth could be total trash. It's not going to be, but it could be total trash, and I'll never forget the moments I had with the remake. Never. That is stuff that'll go down. I'll be thinking about that when I'm 80. So I think what I actually want to do with remake, I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, what? Brain explode emoji. Because of some of the very small issues the game does have, and also like the fact that it's not quote unquote done yet, I'm gonna put it there. Or Hollow Knight. I can't in good conscience put it above a game that has literally been my life since I was like 16. But I think it deserves that spot. I could even put it higher, but maybe in the future. Maybe if I play Rebirth and I'm like, this is great, but Remake's better, and then I go back and play Remake again, it'll get higher. But for now, that's where it's going. All right. Man, this is crazy. This is like, I feel like I'm living my entire life in my head right now. I know it sounds crazy, but like, the memories that some of these games are bringing back. Speaking of memories, Doom. So, Doom was the first shooter game I ever played. I played it on an old 1995 Windows 95 dinosaur computer. I don't even know how we obtained it. My brother taught me how to run DOS so I could play it, because we had it on a floppy drive, a floppy disk. I think I still have my floppy disk. We had Doom and Doom 2 on floppy disk, and my brother taught me how to put it in the PC and then open up DOS and run DOS to play it. So, no, it wasn't 95. It was like 97 or 98. Yeah, I was like 6. or 7 when I played Doom. So yeah, Doom definitely has a special place in my heart. Playing it when I was that young, and I think Doom led me down the path of like enjoying FPS, even though it's like quite a different style of FPS. I think the high-paced gameplay is what really like started to build my love for like, you know, playing, like getting good, if that makes sense, you know? Because I had played like RPGs and stuff where like you don't necessarily need to get good or press buttons fast, you need to just think and come up with a plan. Doom was high octane, dodge the fireball or die, which the only other games I had played like that were like Mario, and Mario felt more like a fun game. Doom was serious. Doom was get good or the demon's gonna eat you. So it did a lot for me in terms of like just making me want to get better at video games. Also, the music will stick with me for the rest of my life. I remember I used to hum the songs and like come up with lyrics for the songs. Just a lot of kid stuff, just a lot of kid memories with Doom. Nowadays, I still play it. I still play mods. I still play map packs. I made my own Doom map for the very first time a couple weeks ago. I speedran the game for a bit. So it's definitely a game that means a lot to me. Definitely goes above Horizon, definitely goes above Metroid, definitely goes above Pikmin. It's weird, because I never really thought about Doom as being one of my favorite games. I mean, I just didn't really like, it's so like ingrained in my brain, I just even think of it as its own game, but... Higher than BioShock, higher than God of War. Do I put it higher than Hollow Knight? Probably. Do I put it higher than Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IX? That's the tough part. The Doot mod. Never forget Doot mod. Dude, these four, like, I don't... Every time I look at these four, I want to rearrange them. I can't decide how I feel about them. Because I look at this and I'm like, I don't know if Doom beats Final Fantasy IX, but I feel like it beats Advance Wars. But I think it's because I'm... Like, Doom and Advance Wars are easier to compare in my head. That's why. So, like, Final Fantasy IX and Doom, I can't compare in my head because they're so different. But Doom and Advance Wars are the same kind of thing where, like, I don't care about the story. It's more just the gameplay. You know what I mean? So it's easier for me to put Doom here. It's easier for me to put Doom above Advance Wars, but then I feel like it doesn't fit above these. Because they're just different. Alright, I think we're gonna get crazy here. I think I'm gonna do this. The more I think about 9 and Chrono Trigger, the more I feel like nothing can go above it. In Legend of Legaia, I really, really respect and love, but like, I don't play it. I look at it from a distance and say, hey, I freaking love that game. But I don't play it. Yeah, that feels better. That feels better. Dude, that is not Legaia disrespect. Look at what it's above. That is not, like, I feel like it should go lower, but I can't bring myself to do it. Grandia's on my list to play, so don't worry, it might end up here when I play it. I know, it's hard. Like, I really thought about it and tried to get, like, every game. Oh, you're right. Where did Ni no Kuni go? Oh, there it is. There it is. It's there. How's it going, live stream? Great to see you, man. I'm glad you're here for this. I might need your mental support for this. My brain is exploding. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Okay. Now it gets hard again. BioShock 1. So I didn't even put BioShock 1 on the list yesterday because I was like, I already have BioShock Infinite. But I think BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite are different enough to warrant being separate. All right. Back to business here. So, we are at BioShock. So, like I said, BioShock, I didn't even put on the list before because I had Infinite on here, but I think they're different enough. BioShock Infinite was more of the ending that really stuck with me, whereas BioShock, the entire experience stuck with me. One of the only, like, quote-unquote horror games that I really stuck with, because I don't really like horror. The entire theming of the game with the old-style music and the idea of a sunken city that was destroyed by the whole, like, just the whole, like, I even almost read a BioShock book. I bought a book, BioShock book, but I never ended up reading it. I was just really enamored with the entire world and thought process behind it. And then, like, Andrew Ryan and everything around him and how he's supposed to be like a fictitious Ayn Rand and how he leads his entire city to ruin and then goes insane, and all the backstory with him, and yeah, like, there's just so much great stuff. The elephant, which we won't talk about, you know, and then, like, on top of that, I loved the gameplay. I loved the big daddies and the little sisters, and I even had a big daddy little sister like pop figure. It wasn't pop figure, but figure. And yeah, so much about this game meant a lot to me. Almost speedran it at one point. Did do a challenge run of it at one point. And, like, also some of the other characters in the game really stuck with me too. So, Yeah, I go back and forth a lot of the time too as to whether or not I like Bioshock 1 more than Infinite. I go back and forth a lot on it. I think right now I feel like it's sitting comfortably ahead of Infinite. Does it go in front of God of War? Yes. Does it go in front of Hollow Knight? I don't think so. I think it sits right there. Would love to put it higher, but would love to put it higher. But I think it's sitting right there for now. Again, if we were talking most influential games, must-play games, games that I think people should play who want to know more about game theory and stuff, it's top 5. Like, it's so high. Like, Bioshock is such an important game. Everyone should play Bioshock. But yeah, in terms of my favorites, I think I'm gonna put it there. That's crazy, man. It's crazy to me that Bioshock is that low, but I look at these other games and it's like I I don't know, man. No, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, I look at these other games it's ahead of. I gotta put it higher, man. I gotta put it higher. I want to put it here. That's what I want to do. Dude, I was challenge running Bioshock before I had a YouTube, like before I even put on YouTube, like I put anything on YouTube other than freaking Call of Duty. One of my earliest videos is the Bioshock DLC. (2009), the Iron Team time trial. Also, 2009, the Iron Team Hidden Rose locations, 32,000 views on that video. Look at this ancient, 14 years ago. 14 years ago, this video. Me just doing a like ancient speed run of Bioshock, the Bioshock DLC. I'm not afraid to fly. I told you, man, Bioshock is like criminally cheap because it's been out for so long. You can get it for nothing. Look at my health. That part was basically run and hope you don't die. Yo, silly! We were just talking about him the other day. Yo, good to see you, old hunter. Welcome. Then this YOLO jump on the not frozen Big Daddy. That's wild. It's wild. So yeah, man, like, this was one of the first games to make me like a gamer. I was really like into being good at. Thanks, Mr. Bubbles. Crazy, crazy. Yeah. Yeah, no, that feels right, man. It really does. It feels right having Bioshock there. I don't know if it's gonna last, but feels right having it there. Alright. I'm gonna run to the bathroom really quick. Man, I'm really excited to read all of your guys' top 10s. I'm still getting them. I still see them popping up in my email. Okay. So, this is going to get a bit easier now, hopefully. Now that we're past those. Okay. So. Spoiler, it won't. Flash Revolution. A game I played competitively for multiple years. I still really resonate with some of the tracks in the game. Still resonate with like the community and how like grassroots it was, just people playing the game and enjoying it. It's hard to put in like a top 10 or top 20 just because all it is pressing, like, it's a bit of a simple game. Like, it's not a game that, like, well, I was gonna say, it's not a game that, like, revolutionized my life in any way, you know? But at the same time, it was, like, my stress relief game for a long time. I used to have, like, when I had a lot of anxiety back in like school and was going through a lot of tough stuff, I would go home and just smash the keyboard to death on FFR, and it, you know, it was like a really nice stress relief for me. I remember just practicing it for hours, and like practicing it made me, you know, took my mind off of other things because I had to really focus on getting better. And one of the first games I ever really focused on getting better, which I still hold today. Like a lot of the things I learned playing that game, I still have this really fond memory of. I had a friend over, and I played it in front of him. He was like, "Wow, you got to be like one of the best in the world at this game. Like, you're so good at it." And then I played online, and I played against some kid. And it's funny because like nowadays it's really common to like play kids on Fortnite and get smashed. But back then it wasn't like that. It was usually like my generation were like the best at video games. But I played some kid that was like younger than me. I was like 16. I played a kid that was like 13 or 12. And he smashed me. Just smoked me. And it made me want to get better. And it was like a moment that I still remember to this day. Like, as the moment where I was like, you really have to try to get better at stuff to get better at it. You can't just play it. I learned a lesson in like getting better at and not just video games, but anything. You have to really try. You have to really focus on getting better. You have to learn new strategies of getting better. You can't just get in the kitchen and cook and become a better cook. You can up to a certain degree, but at some point you need to look up recipes. You need to listen to people that know what they're doing and learn new strategies and learn new things to do and what to do in the kitchen and what not to do in the kitchen. And you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain level you can get to just on your own, just putting stuff in a pot and seeing if it catches on fire. But at some point you have to look outside for outside help. You need to join in with a community that knows more than you and teach you things, right? And that's kind of what I learned through FFR is you can't just get better forever without any outside help, you know? So it definitely, a lot of my memories with the game definitely mean a lot. Also, some of my first like videos to get a lot of views were like FFR videos. So I think I'm actually, I'm pretty okay like putting it here. I don't think I should really put it higher than that because in the end it's really a simple game. My experience with it means a lot. But like, it's just not much more than that to me. I think some of these other games just mean more to me than this, but I don't know. I do kind of weigh what the game taught me pretty heavily. I could maybe put it here. Just from like, you know, the memories and the experience it gave me. Okay. Now we got Kirby 64. Kirby 64 is my favorite N64 game. One of my favorite, just pick it up and play it in an afternoon games. I speedran it pretty heavily for a while. The music is still music I listen to outside the game a lot, and I think it is one of the best soundtracks ever. I think what really stands out to me with Kirby is that it's just a great game to play. Like, I used to play it and 100% it in a day and then put it down. And then a couple months later, I'd do it again, you know? Just a great replayable little game that, like, isn't much of an investment. And sometimes those are the best kinds of games. Like, I love Metroid Prime, but I've beaten Kirby 64 way more than I've beaten Metroid Prime just because it's not as much of an investment to just pick it up and play it. And the soundtrack alone, man, like, I listen to it so much. So, yeah, I kind of want to put it here. It's funny to hear how many of these songs that are randomly on my playlist are from these games. I think that's a good spot for it. Okay, Mega Man 2. Could also be Mega Man 1, honestly, but I grew up with 2, so this makes sense. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Mega Man. I'll be honest. I really don't know. Another game I speedran. I actually speedran Mega Man 1 more than I speedran Mega Man 2. Just because I liked the speedrun better. Uh-oh. Man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I just kind of have to compare it to some of these other games. It's crazy. I said Forbidden West might be in my top 10, and now it's going to be kicked out of my top 20. Just because there's so many games, man. When you really sit down and look at every game you've ever played, there's just so many. Alright, so let's see here. Mega Man 2 versus Forbidden West. I mean, it's gotta be higher, right? Even just for the music alone. Probably higher than Metroid Prime. Is it higher than Kirby 64? Yeah, I mean, like I said, Forbidden West just needs to cook. I think so. Is it higher than FFR? Possibly not. And that's weird, because like Mega Man's a big part of my gaming history, but I don't know, I guess the thing with Mega Man is it's a great game, and it's one that I grew up with and I love and adore, but like didn't necessarily impact my life in a very meaningful way. I look at a lot of these other games and it's like, man, my life was kind of different after playing that game. I know that sounds silly, but like it's true. I mean, like games like Doom taught me how to use DOS. Games like BioShock really like influenced my opinions and thoughts on like old culture and stuff. Hollow Knight was like an emotional journey. God of War like enhanced my understanding of Greek mythology, one of my favorite like genres to look into. BioShock Infinite, the ending like possibly changed my life. Pikmin was a game that I just like played nonstop and like changed my feeling on like Nintendo games in general. FFR taught me to get better at games and taught me how to get better at things in general. Mega Man 2 is just a fun game. Like Mega Man 2, I just love Mega Man 2. Like I love the music, I love the game, but like it's just a good game. Like I speedran it for a bit, and it was really hard. really, really hard. Hardest speedrun I may have ever done. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is based on impact. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. Especially like Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 2 would be so much lower if I were just looking at the game. But Kingdom Hearts 2 is kind of an emblem of all of Kingdom Hearts and what it's meant to me over the years, you know? Same with Call of Duty and Zombies. Otherwise, these two would be so much lower, because Kingdom Hearts 2 has its flaws. Like, 100%. Kingdom Hearts 2 doesn't hold a candle to Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger stomps on Kingdom Hearts 2 for breakfast. But, like, you know, it's more of my impact. But yeah, Mega Man 2 just doesn't feel like that big of an impact on me, but like Mega Man in general definitely did. I used to play Mega Man as like a fun, like me and my bro used to run outside and pretend to be Mega Man characters and shoot robots, and like we had our super soakers shooting the house pretending it's Wily. I mean, like literally like crazy childhood memories of like just Mega Man in general, and like the Robot Masters and stuff, and playing like the X games is like a huge memory for me. So I think it does deserve to be in the top 20, but just I don't think it trumps any of these. If you were to go and play a game right now, would you pick it or pick something else? That's kind of what made me drop Legaia from my top 10. Because it's more of an experience I go back and experience every once in a while, not something I would pick up and play right now. I mean, I would, but yeah, not for long. BioShock I'll run through any day. Doom I'll run through any day. Chrono Trigger I'll run through any day. Final Fantasy 9 I'll run through any day, you know. Zombies I play weekly, like... So... Kingdom Hearts, I was willing to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into the games I don't even like just because it's Kingdom Hearts. I was willing to put like 300 hours into BBS, my least favorite Kingdom Hearts game, because I wanted all the trophies just because it's Kingdom Hearts, you know? So like, it kind of sits on its own little pedestal. Okay. Alright, this is a weird one. Pokemon Yellow. So, this was my first Pokemon game. I was definitely born in that era where everyone was playing Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. I used to go to school, and on the playground, people would trade Pokemon, and not even like the nerds, but like everyone traded Pokemon on the playground. Like it was the thing. It was the Fortnite. Like, like I don't know how else to describe it. Like it was literally Fortnite for us. Like we would go to school with lightning cables and trade Pokemon. And like I said, it wasn't even like the nerds. It was like the whole school was doing this. We would trade cards. We would trade Pokemon. Like it was it. And I was part of that generation. And I remember having Pokemon Yellow and just playing it ad nauseum. We'd go on trips and I would just play it every single moment that I could. Same live stream. Freaking dream drop distance. Dream drop in a toilet. So it's weird because like I feel like Pokemon Yellow is like a huge part of my life as a kid. And I'm even playing Pokemon Red right now with my son. Like we started a game together and we're playing it. So like I'm investing some of my childhood into him in that way. So like it's kind of big. But is it a favorite of mine, or was it just what I played because it was the thing to play? It is a good game, but I also kind of fell off of Pokemon. I played Red, Yellow, Blue. Well, actually, I played Red, Yellow. And then I played Silver, Gold, and Crystal. But then I stopped. And I didn't really play it much after that. And I only recently got back into the cards, but I still don't play the newer Pokemon games. I want to go back and play Gen 3 because Gen 3 is incredible. I played a little bit of it and it like blew me away. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's not the type of, I don't think it's a top 20 for me. It almost feels like an honorable mention. Like it's such a huge part of my childhood, but it's not something I care as deeply about today, you know? So I kind of want to put it as a pretty high honorable mention. And we'll get into these later, but I think that's a pretty good spot for it, honestly. Okay, Crash Team Racing. Best kart racer ever, don't at me. Played through it many, many, many times. Still love to go back and play it today. But it's not top 20. In fact, I think right there is a good spot for it, behind Forbidden West. All right, Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight I respect as an incredible game. And I loved playing through it, and I loved getting the platinum because it forced me to like mini speedrun the game, and it was a really fun game. But I don't know if it reaches the heights of like top favorites. So I think for now I'll put it down here. I'll look at it again at the end. Okay, Chaos Legion. A game that I loved so much that I randomly brought back and speedran it to the point of getting a world record. Because I wanted more people to see how great this game is. It's more of a nostalgia thing, though. That is Tekken Tag Tournament. Could also be Tekken 3, to be honest, but I just picked Tag Tournament because it has more characters, I remember. Yeah, after speedrunning it, it really cemented it in my brain as like one of my favorite games. When I went back to it at first, I was like, I hope it's not one of those games where I remember it being great and then I go back and play it and it sucks, but no, it's still good. It still holds up. It's still a great game. I would definitely put it above CTR. Again, having a hard time seeing the games. What if I... Alright, hold on. Where was that? Chaos Legion. I'll put it above Horizon. Not above Metroid, I don't think. Well... You know what? I'll put it above Metroid. Just because Metroid is one of the best games ever, but not a game I've gone back to within the last couple of years. So. Okay. Fury. So I have an interesting history with Fury. I beat Fury when it first came out, and I loved it. And I loved it so much that I got the platinum, even though the platinum was like one of the hardest platinums to get at the time. And then once I got the platinum, I got a message from some random guy asking me to join this PlayStation group back when PlayStation groups were a thing. And I joined, and the group was actually overlooked by the developer of the game. And they would put like discount codes for like merch and stuff in this private PSN group that was only for people that got the platinum. And I was like, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. More indie, maybe not AAA companies, but more indie companies should do stuff like this. It's really cool. So I have like a really fond memory of that, and I even bought a Fury poster with the discount code I got from that group just because I respected it so much. And then Yo, San, thank you very much for the 100 bits. I played it again when the PS4 version came out and got that platinum, and I still enjoy the game a lot. It has some issues. The biggest thing is the audio quality is just really awkward in the game. A lot of sound effects don't sound right, and a lot of them like get eaten, and the music feels like very distant at times. It's very weird. The sound design is like just odd. But the actual music in the game is incredible. I play it on my stream all the time. And the gameplay is very up my alley. You know, perfect block, parry, quick gameplay, attack and defend and punish. Very Kingdom Hearts boss-ish, boss rush game. I've always been a huge fan of boss rush games. Part of the reason why Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite Kingdom Hearts, because of the boss rush thing at the end. Even though Kingdom Hearts 3's is better now, but yeah. Love the game, but it does have its problems. I will put it above CTR, but leave it below Horizon. Yeah, the data battles. Okay, Puzzle Star Sweep. This is my guilty pleasure game. Best way to put it. It's a terrible game. I mean, not terrible, but it's a bad game. Like, it's bad. The story is horrendous. The translation is laughable. It has actual typos in the translation. It has really bad input lag. The game lasts like 10 minutes. But it's my guilty pleasure game. I used to play it all the time as a kid. It's basically my Tetris. And I got really, really good at it to the point where I speedran it. I set all the world records before people that are actually good at puzzle games started playing it and beating my records. But I set every record in the game so that other people could come and be better. And I just appreciate this game a lot. Having said that, I think it has fallen off for me over the years. I haven't played it as much. Maybe after speedrunning it, I just kind of got my fill. Still enjoy going back to it and playing it every once in a while, but not as much as I used to. So I'm actually going to put it I want to put it there. I'm trying to decide if I should put it here. Maybe. Maybe. I'll put it there. I wonder when I do play the Metroid Prime remaster if Metroid Prime's going to move up quite a bit. It's just been a long time since I played it. Alright, speaking of guilty pleasure games, here's my other guilty pleasure game, Digimon Digital Card Battle. Now this game is not as bad as Puzzle Star Sweep. This game, I would actually say, is one of the best card battlers ever. It takes some getting used to because the Digimon card game is a bit of a whack game. But man, this game's content is insane. Like, over 100 hours of just, like... There's so much. Like, you basically have to beat the game, like, 9 times to get everything. Like... There's these super duper secret cards that are super crazy good, but you have to do so much to get them. There's so many different people to play, so many different cards. Like, it's just great. Like, I don't know why they went so hard, because all it is just a Digimon card game, and the Digimon card game wasn't that popular. Like, you could have just made a quick game using the Digimon cards and called it good, but instead they made like one of the most like in-depth games they could have made. Like, it's crazy. This is FFR, Flash Revolution. Like, they put so much work into this game. There's a ton of music. There's this crazy final boss battle that's like one of the hardest boss battles in video game history. Like, it's just crazy. It's really crazy. How, like, you compare this to like a Yu-Gi-Oh game or a Pokemon game, and it's like night and day. It, like, the amount of work they put in is just insane. So, but yeah, this is my guilty pleasure game. I play it every year on my birthday. Lately it's kind of lost some of its excitement for me. I pretty much just play it on my birthday, and then I don't play it any more than that. But man, as a kid, I used to play this for hours and hours and hours and just make different decks and just have a blast in it. I would probably put it here. Okay, Dark Cloud. One of the best PS2 games. Don't at me. Many people have not played Dark Cloud, but it is unbelievably good. Pretty much everyone I've talked to that's never played Dark Cloud, that I said, you know, hey, you should go try it, they came back to me and were like, oh my god. Like, how did I miss this? It is a bit of a acquired taste, though. Like, some people don't like it, which is fine. Like, it's definitely got a... It's got this survival style to it. Dude, my stomach is like... Can you hear my stomach growling? I don't know why I'm so hungry. It's got this weird, like, survival aspect to it, where your weapons can break and you have to fix them, and there's food, and you got to make sure you have food when you go into the dungeon. You got to make sure you have water when you go into the dungeon. It's got, like, this very strange survival thing to it. And then you also have this, like, sim builder thing going on, where you build a city and you have to make the people happy and stuff. It's a really crazy combination of mechanics. But it works so well. But what really is super memorable about Dark Cloud is the weapon upgrade system. It's so rewarding. It's awesome. So basically, the way it works is you get a weapon, and you have to level it up to max. And as you're leveling it up to max, you can also put gems into the weapon. So let's say your weapon has like 5 strength and 4 speed, right? So you level it up, and then maybe at max level it gets like 9 attack and 8 speed. And then you can put gems in it. 1 gem gives it +1 strength, 1 gem gives it +1 speed. So now we're up to 10 strength and 9 speed, right? So then, at max level, you can break down your weapon, and it will turn into a gem. So now you have a gem that has like 20% of the stats of the weapon. So let's say now it has... Now the gem itself, 20 is too little, like 40%. So now the gem itself gives +4 attack, +3 speed. And then you equip a new weapon, and you put that gem into the weapon. And then you continue. You level that weapon up to max. And now that weapon has like +15 attack, +11 speed. And then you break that into a gem. And you just keep doing it, and your weapons keep getting permanently stronger and stronger. Every time, every time a weapon goes up a level, it absorbs the gems in it. So you can go up to 5. You can put like a strength +1 and level it up, another strength +1, and you can put one of your old weapon gems into it, and then it'll absorb it, and it'll keep the stats. So it's a way to just constantly get permanently better and better. And it was such an awesome mechanic that I had never seen in a game before, that I just got really, really addicted to continually upgrading my weapons and then putting the gem into a new weapon, etc., etc. Live stream, thank you for the gifted sub to Urpo. So yeah, just a really, really cool mechanic. Yes, I have played Air Guys. I have a video of me playing Air Guys. And then you also have the character switch mechanic that's pretty interesting. You can switch characters on the fly, and they all have different weapons and mechanics. So it had a lot going on. The story was okay. It wasn't anything amazing, but it was okay. The music was also okay, but it had a lot of like cool stuff going on. And I remember really loving it. I think this is actually a good spot for it, though. I don't think it beats CTR for me, but like, even just that weapon mechanic alone makes it really memorable. Okay, Mega Man X5. So like, why the heck is this here? Well, when I was growing up, I grew up with Mega Man 2, and then I had Mega Man X4 and Mega Man X5, or sorry, I had 2 and 8 randomly, and then I had X4 and X5. And X4 was good, but X5 really like, I guess kickstarted my imagination. Me and my buddy played this game, and then we would like just come up with Robot Masters and come up with like cool Mega Man. Like Mega Man was just kind of a thing for us for a while. We were just super into Mega Man, and we watched like some of the Mega Man show when it was on, which was like Never. And it was just like a thing for us for a while. And Mega Man X5 was always my favorite versus X4. A shame that I never had X, because that's the game. Mega Man X is the real one, but I didn't own it. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, which is why this entire list is missing a lot of Super Nintendo, like Super Metroid, and Final Fantasy VI being a mention because I didn't play it till later in life. You know, Super Metroid, Mega Man X, Final Fantasy VI, they'd all be in my top 10 if I had played them as a kid. And that goes to show you how crazy Chrono Trigger is. Being a Super Nintendo game that I didn't play till later in life, it's still in the top 10. But yeah, I love Mega Man X. Especially playing as Zero and jumping around, flipping around as Zero is super fun. I think it does belong in the lowest spot so far, though. Okay, Uncharted 4. What the heck is this doing here? Well, Uncharted is a really great series, and a series that is pretty close to my heart. I have a couple fond memories of playing Uncharted 1 for some reason. Like, I think I was going through a really rough time at the time that I played Uncharted 1, and I just remember I have these like very specific memories of like playing Uncharted 1 at my old house. But I put Uncharted 4 here because the ending of Uncharted 4 was like a really powerful moment for me. It was at the time that I either had just had my first son, or we were in the process of having my first son when I played Uncharted 4. And you could probably imagine, if you're someone that's beaten Uncharted 4, how that like final scene affected me. So yeah, just a very, and like, I really liked Uncharted 4 a lot. It was, I mean, it was like 90% cutscene, 10% game, but something about Uncharted 4 really stuck with me, and kind of this like Nathan's journey to like become an adult. It just resonated with me because at the time I was on a journey to become an adult. So definitely just kind of an emotional thing. Not necessarily the game itself, but just kind of an emotional thing. I would put it like here, but I don't think it really gets above CTR. Okay, Ni no Kuni. The best PS3 game, don't at me. If this were a list of best games, it would be unbelievably high. I cannot speak enough about this game. The only flaw of this game is the combat. which is very hit or miss with people. Some people like it, some people don't. But if you can even just get through the combat, like if you can just like the combat enough to stick with it, you are in for one of the greatest video games ever made. It's so... It hits you like an absolute truck at the start of the game, and then it just never stops being super compelling. I think it falls off a little bit towards the very end. But, I mean, what else is there to say? It's literally Studio Ghibli, the video game. And the fact that they were able to make it work on the PS3 just boggles my mind. Like, playing this game on a PS3 will blow your mind. You play the remaster on PS4 and you're like, wow, this looks incredible. I can't believe how well they made this game look on a PS4. And then you play it on PS3 and you're like, whoa, the remaster looks exactly the same. Like, one of the biggest complaints about Ni no Kuni Remastered is that it looks too much like the first game, because that's how good the first game looks. It's unbelievable how good it looks on PS3 and how well it runs on PS3. Other than some, like, kind of long load times, like Insanity, they were able to make it work on PS3. People give Last of Us, like, so much credit for looking so good on PS3, but I raise you Ni no Kuni. It's unreal how good it looks. For me, I played through it once. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that I more of just respect it as a good game more than I actually, like, physically enjoy it. I mean, I put over 100 hours into it and got the platinum and pretty much enjoyed every minute of doing it. So there's a lot to be said for that. But is it one of my favorite games of all time? I think it probably drops in somewhere around here, but I don't think it beats Fury. But I respect it as an incredible game. Speaking of incredible games, what do I do with Last of Us? Like, I don't know what to do with Last of Us. I mean, I think Last of Us, like... So here's the thing with Last of Us. It definitely hit me like a truck, like it did everybody back in the day. And one thing about Last of Us that I think really stuck with me that a lot of people it didn't, is the multiplayer, actually. I really liked the multiplayer in Last of Us. It's weird because, like, I don't have any of, like, the multiplayer games. Like, I don't have League of Legends on here, which I played for a long time, but League of Legends is gross. I don't have... I didn't really play Counter-Strike for that long, though. I don't have Halo on here. Like, I really just kind of have Call of Duty 4 on here as, like, my multiplayer game. And I don't know. I think multiplayer games just kind of exist on another part of my brain than these games, you know? They're kind of just junk food. In a way, like, when I don't feel like investing myself in a game, I just kind of boot up whatever multiplayer game I'm currently playing. So yeah, it just kind of hits different. Like, there's some games I put a lot of time into. I put a little bit of time into Apex Legends. Put some time into Halo, put some time into Counter-Strike, put some time into put a lot of time into League of Legends. But they I don't know, they hit a different part of my brain, I think. They don't feel like my favorite games. They feel like just my junk food games that I would play with friends and stuff. So, don't really have any of them on here except Call of Duty 4, and there's a reason for that we'll get to. Anyways, Shaw, thank you so much for the 68 months. Good to have you here. Send me your top 10 if you haven't yet. So what do I do with Last of Us? Like, I want to put Last of Us here. Yeah. That's how it I have the same feeling for it as I do with Uncharted 4. It's like, it hit me in a moment of my life and I remember it and stuff, but like going back to it, I enjoy it, but it's not like my favorite game. Also, playing through the remaster now has been like an absolute chore. And the multiplayer became pay to win, which is kind of lame. And Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us 2 and everything else is kind of like not really like stinged Last of Us 1 for me, but there is part of me that wishes Last of Us just was Last of Us and nothing else ever happened with it. But that's another discussion. Okay, Dark Souls 2. So why is Dark Souls 2 on here? Well, I wanted to pick one FromSoft game because I think they all kind of fit the same itch, you know. And Dark Souls 2 is just kind of the one, especially Scholar of the First Sin. It's just the one I remember the most. The one that I have the most memories of. Elden Ring could also easily take the place of this. I had some issues with Bloodborne, so I don't think I would put Bloodborne here. Even Dark Souls 3 could potentially go here, but Dark Souls 2 is just the one that I usually say is my favorite, so. But you could probably insert whatever FromSoft game you want here, other than Demon Souls. Friggin' hate Demon Souls. I liked it when it came out, but man, playing through it again was a nightmare. I kind of hated it. And yeah, like Bloodborne I have a couple issues with. I respect Bloodborne as an incredible game, but I have some issues with it. So I would say Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, or Elden Ring could all go here. Dark Souls 1 could probably go here if I played it, but I have not played it yet. But I've heard it's like the best. Yeah, Demon Souls was legit when it came out, but now it's like I can't play it. And maybe it's partly because, like, once you play Dark Souls 2, Demon Souls just feels like the Clunk Master game. But even then, it wasn't even the Clunk. It was just like all the bosses are like gimmicks, and it just doesn't hit as well as Dark Souls 2 does. Dark Souls 2 and above just doesn't hit in the same way. Most of the bosses are gimmicks. Once you know what you're doing, you're pretty much set. Then there's the poison area in Demon Souls, which is by far the worst area in video game history. I will fight to the death. Pick a game. The stupid poison area from Demon Souls is worse. It's the worst thing I've ever played in my life. I would rather fly through rings in Superman 64 than play the poison area in Demon Souls again. That was absolute torture. Anyways. So what do I think about Dark Souls games in general? Well, they definitely had an impact on me, and I've played through many of them, and I really loved many of them. I even did a challenge run of Elden Ring that I really liked. But I wouldn't say that the Souls games, I wouldn't say I'm part of that, you know, I want to play through all the Souls games without getting hit level of love for the Souls games. But I do like them a lot. And they're, you know, they're a get good kind of game, which are the types of games I like. Do I like the Souls games more than X5? Yes. Do I like the Souls games more than Dark Cloud? Yes. Do I like the Souls games more than Uncharted 4? Yes. Do I like the Souls games more than Last of Us? Yes. Do I like the Souls games more than CTR? I don't think so. I think that's a good spot. I mean, I think that fluctuates. Like, when I was really into Elden Ring, yeah, I'll put it higher. But as a general, like, for the rest of my life, am I going to go back and play Dark Souls 2 as much as I'm going to go back and play CTR? Probably not. But you know dang well the next Souls game, I'm going to be there playing it day one. So, like, yeah. But for now, it feels right to put it there. Okay, here's a weird one. Dishonored. My first official speedrun ever. The first time I ever downloaded LiveSplit and put up splits and played a game as a speedrun. I had done time trials before that. I had done many challenge runs before that, but in terms of actually downloading LiveSplit and being a speed runner, Dishonored was the first. So a lot of fond memories with this. Also got a world record in console version. And, you know, I look back on that now and I feel like it wasn't that big of a deal, but at the time, it was the first time I had really worked at something that hard. Like, really, ever in, like, my life. Like, I mean, like, I had never... I can't think of something that I really, like, every day grinded, you know, through the terrible RNG, through the awful console controls, like, really every day grinding for multiple hours until I finally got it. So really fond memories of that. The game itself, I just like how open-ended it is. I like how you can choose how you take care of each target. Dashing around is also just really freaking fun. It's way more fun on the PC version than it is the console version, but still very fun. The DLCs are also pretty good. Thanks, Bahamut. Yeah, just a good game all around. Like, I just enjoy Dishonored. What's the blue one? This one? Flash Revolution. Old Flash game that's like DDR, but with the keyboard. Game I played competitively for multiple years. So, you know, like, I respect Dishonored as a game. I liked the story. I liked the gameplay. It was a bit glitchy, but, you know, being a Bethesda game. But overall, good game. Very memorable as my first speed run. Also very frustrating as my first speed run. I would put Dishonored maybe like here. Yeah, that feels about right. Okay, Klonoa 2, another game from my childhood that is more of just a guilty pleasure. It's a good game, but it doesn't hold a candle to really any of the games here. But it's a game that I grew up with that I really liked and just had a really unique style, and I liked the music, and I liked the atmosphere, and was just a fun game that I liked a lot. I played through it again on the remaster edition. And it was fun, but like I definitely felt a lot more of the flaws. But I still enjoyed it, but yeah, like definitely felt less connected to it playing it nowadays. Like we played it a couple years ago for my birthday, and I really enjoyed playing the original PS2 version. So I don't know. It's definitely up there for me. Definitely really like it. I think I'm gonna put it here. Okay, this one's a really tough one for me. Monster Rancher. Doesn't really matter which one. 1, 2, or 3. 2's the best one, but 3 I have a lot of memories playing with my wife. And 1 is just kind of like the OG. But I would say 2 is overall the best game in the series. Monster Rancher 4 blows. Here's the thing with Monster Rancher. I used to spend hours with my brother. We used to sit in a room and we grabbed every CD we owned, and then we grabbed every CD my dad owned, and we'd sit there with a giant stack of like 200 CDs, most of which were music CDs, like my dad's music CDs, and just sit and just make monsters all day. For those of you that don't know, Monster Rancher, you put a CD in and then it makes a monster based on what the CD is. There's some like specific ones, like if you put in Spyro, you get like a dragon. You put in Crash and you get like a dude that looks like Crash Bandicoot kinda. Like there's some like specific ones, but other than that, it just takes the data on the disc and just randomizes a monster. And we used to just spend hours trying every CD in the house. And then we took little pieces of paper and we wrote down what the CD made, and we put it in like the you know, the little plastic tabs that hold in the manuals. We used to put the pieces of paper in with the manual so that later we could like go through and see which monsters they made to see if we could find the monster we want. And seriously, I still find these pieces of paper. I still, to this day, open up CD cases and find these pieces of paper from when I was like 12. And we used to make Monster Rancher. Yeah, it's like glitter. Like, I still find these things. So it's just like a really fond memory I have of when we were kids. So, and they made a remaster on Steam, but you basically just pick the monsters out of a list instead. And it just misses a lot of the magic, because that's what the magic was. The magic was going up and begging your dad for a freaking Creed CD, and then you pop it in and you get some sick dragon, and you're like, bro, who knew Creed was the MVP? There's just something awesome about like the way it worked. And then the game itself is awesome. You battle monsters and you have to like train them, and there's a lot of different things that goes into training them. There were these really legendary, like the higher tiers of tournaments in the game, it went all the way up to S tier, were really legendary because your monsters only survived a certain amount of time. They only survived like 3 years, and then they died and you had to make a new one. And so a lot of times you'd never reach those tiers. Like, it took us months to ever get a monster that lived long enough to even see those tournaments. And so it had this like mystery element to it. There were also some wild things that could happen. You could go on an adventure with your monster and it could just die. Like, it could just get lost and die, and you'd have to start all over, and it was just like a really crazy game. Also, the way that the monsters mixed were really cool. You had like monsters like golems, and you had monsters like fairies, and you had monsters like gelatin, and you could, each monster had a main class and a subclass, so you could mix a golem and a jelly and get like a jelly golem, or you could mix a jelly and a golem and get a golem jelly, you know. And it was really cool to see like all the mixtures of monsters and mix them in a way where their stats worked out. just like it was way ahead of its time, honestly, with a lot of things. It also was really popular. Like, a lot of people don't realize how popular Monster Rancher was, but it had a show in Japan, I think. I think it was a lot more popular in Japan. But actually, yeah, it was like really popular. It had a card game, it had a TCG, and it had a show at one point. So like, it was really popular. A lot of people don't know how popular it was. But anyways, where does it rank? I think just off of childhood nostalgia alone, I kind of have to plop it like here. I don't know if I would put it higher than these games, although I do kind of feel like it fits with CTR a bit. I think I'll put it here. I think I'll put it there. Might be a bit high, but I'm feeling the nostalgia. I'm feeling it. Okay, Crash Bandicoot 2. Why Crash Bandicoot 2 and not Crash Bandicoot 3? Well, Crash Bandicoot 2 is better. Okay, Crash Bandicoot 3 is better than Crash Bandicoot 2, but Crash Bandicoot 2 has like this weird, like, ambiance to it. Like, it's kind of spooky. Crash 2 has this weird, like, spookiness to it that I always loved. Crash 3 is way more like goofy Crash game, but Crash 2 has this like odd, like, Cortex is trying to trick Crash into helping him, and he's trying to act nice, but he's not actually nice, and the kind of just overall feel of it, and it just had this mysteriousness to it. And then the first time you find some of the secret levels is like really wild. I remember finding this one of the secret levels as a kid and just thinking like, wow, this is crazy. So yeah, it's just a nostalgia thing, but Crash 3 is definitely better, but I like Crash 2 a lot. I still remember getting 99% in Crash 2 and never figuring out how to get that stupid gem where you have to pick up none of the boxes instead of all the boxes, which in retrospect is like super obvious, but I was a stupid kid and didn't know how to do it, so I got everything but that one gem and then hated myself. Yeah, Crash 3 has a lot of gimmick stuff too, although not nearly as bad as 4, but... And not 4, but Wrath of Cortex. But yeah, Crash has always been a series that means a lot to me. The very first marathon we ever did on the channel was Crashathon, where we 100%ed every Crash game ever made. There's a reason that it was my very first marathon, because I've always been a big fan of the Crash series. So yeah, that kind of goes to show you how much Crash kind of means to me, given it was the first marathon on the channel. So I think it's very easily here. The question is, would I put it above Ni no Kuni and Fury and Horizon and Puzzle Star Sweep? I think I would. I would put it here, at the very least. Yeah, this is a medley. Yeah, I like it there. I could even put it higher, to be honest, but I like it there. Now, the second marathon we ever did on the stream, Spyro. And I could put a lot of different Spyros on here, but Spyro 1 has always had a special place in my heart. I've talked about this before on stream, but basically Spyro 1 is like my not guilty pleasure, but like my let's pop this in and beat it in an afternoon game. Spyro 2 and 3 are a bit more of an investment, but Spyro 1 you can just plop in and 100% the game in a couple hours, and it's just a great ride, and then you can put it down and it never gets boring. So yeah, and there's a reason that Spyro was my second marathon. It goes hand to hand with Crash. It's another game series that I grew up with. So I would be willing to say Bop very easily. But I think I'll probably leave it there, actually. It definitely could go above Metroid Prime, but I'm giving Metroid Prime some credit here because it's been a while since I've played it. Hold up there, Buster. I as a kid, I definitely enjoyed Spyro more than Crash, I think. I don't know. Here's my problem. I like Spyro 1 more than Crash 2. But I like Crash more than Spyro, I think. So how do I do it in the list? I think I'll do this. I think that's fair. But I do like Spyro 1, the video game, more than I like Spyro 2, the video game. Just take them both off. Okay, okay, this is a weird one. Kingdom Hearts 1. I think I'm going to put this in the highest tier of honorable mention. It just feels kind of weird putting it... I'm going to put this here for now because it's making everything move. It just feels weird putting it on the list because it's really similar to Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a very different game than Kingdom Hearts 2, but in the end, they're both Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts 2 is kind of there because of Kingdom Hearts as a whole. So giving Kingdom Hearts 1 its own spot feels weird. But I have a very big soft spot for Kingdom Hearts 1. The exploration is better than all the other Kingdom Hearts games. The wonder and just feeling of playing through Kingdom Hearts 1 is so much better than the other games. The other games feel like they're trying to be a video game and they just kind of take you through the motions, whereas Kingdom Hearts 1 was an adventure. I still remember as a kid not knowing what the next world was going to be and absolutely losing my mind when I saw stuff like Halloween Town. You know, just like that sense of adventure and actually exploring the worlds and exploring like Wonderland and finding all the crazy secrets in that world. And like, there's just so much more to 1 that 2 and all the other ones just couldn't replicate. But where 2 couldn't replicate 1, it went off on its own tangent of actually being a good video game. Kingdom Hearts 1 has a lot of issues. It's very clunky. There's things about it that just aren't great. 2 is an amazing video game. But 1 is an amazing adventure. So, you know, I think it's fair to put it in honorable mention. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts 2 is kind of here as the Kingdom Hearts game. So, put it in honorable mention. Okay, so, speaking of honorable mentions, we have Kingdom Hearts. Then we have Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy V. The only reason these are here is because they're still cooking. I've only played them once for Fantathon. I need to go back and play them again and really come up with a true feeling of them as my favorite games. I would say that maybe I could even do this. These don't really matter that much. Like, the placement of these don't really matter that much. But, yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VI is probably going to be in the top 20, if not the top 10. And if this were a list of best games, it would be even higher. 5, if this were a list of best games, would not be in the top 20. But in terms of my favorites, something about 5 just really resonated with me. And you can tell when you watch the Let's Play, there's just something about 5 that really spoke to me. Something about the characters, something about the story, something about the way they interact. I was just like enthralled with 5. I respected 6 as a better game, but I actually had more fun playing through 5, which is wild to say, but there was just something about 5 that just really grabbed me. So I cannot wait to play through 5 again, and when I play through 5 again, it may become one of my top 10 favorite games. But for now, I've only played through it once, so it feels wrong to put it on my list. So we're going to put it in honorable mention. Again, Pokemon Yellow, honorable mention. Then we have To the Moon, which is an honorable mention because I feel like it's such a short game and it's so simple. And I just don't really know how to, like, compare it to these other games. Like, it's hard to compare Last of Us with To the Moon or something like that. But having said that, my experience with this game is one of the most memorable video game experiences I've ever had. It really, yeah, there's no better way to describe it other than, like, it emotionally devastated me for several days after playing it. So, like, yeah, but it's just kind of hard to put it as, like, a video game to these other games. So it is a very, very high honorable mention. Okay, then we have Super Mario 64. I don't know where to place Super Mario 64. Like, I don't even think it's an honorable mention. I think it belongs up here, but, like, I don't know how to place it because I had the same experience with Super Mario 64 as everyone else did. I played it as a kid, and it was, like, my first 3D game, and I thought it was the greatest video game ever made. And then over the years, it's just kind of, like, changed. No, I didn't skip Pokemon. I talked about it earlier already. Again, if this were a list of the best games ever, it'd be top 10. But, and, like, the thing about Mario 64 is I have followed it, you know, ever since. I've followed the speedrun, I've followed the crazy challenge runs like the A-Press challenge, I've followed some of the super in-depth mechanics that people have gone into. I've watched video after video after video about this game. I'm very, like, in touch with the community of this game, but I don't myself play it. I don't speedrun it. I haven't played it since I was a kid, really. So it's just kind of a weird one to put on this list because I don't really play it. But it is a childhood gem for me. So I would probably put it like maybe here. Maybe here. And that's really low, but it's just because, like, I haven't played it since I was a kid. Like, it really is just like a kid memory for me. But it cannot be understated how much Super Mario 64 content I have absorbed over the last 10 years. Like, I am constantly watching streamers play Mario 64. I've probably watched every world record Mario 64 run in the past, like, 10 years. I've watched, like, countless videos about the game. So, you know, that can't really be understated. But in terms of, like, my favorite game to play, yeah, I guess it's just kind of, it's more of a childhood memory. Okay, Evoland 2, a game that I loved so much that I decided to speedrun it, even though it was a 6.5 hour speedrun. I got the world record in the category that I wanted to get the world record in, and then I quit because it was destroying my body. But I loved it so much that I put up with all that because I wanted more people to experience it because it's such a good game. I think it's one of the most, like, unique and, like, creative indie games ever made. Yeah, it's just awesome, man. Just awesome. I kind of want to put it there. I don't see any reason to put it in honorable mention. I think it should be on the list. So yeah, I think there. Okay, now we got Ratchet Deadlocked. Woo! Ratchet Deadlocked was like a game I played with my friends a lot. And just Ratchet and Clank in general is one of my favorite series, and Deadlocked just happens to be my favorite game in the series. Up Your Arsenal is definitely the best Ratchet game, other than like if you're talking nostalgia, but like in terms of just the games. But Deadlocked is its own thing entirely. Like Deadlocked is just such a cool, different style game. I used to be obsessed with tournaments as a kid. Don't ask me why. It's like the weirdest thing to be obsessed with. But I loved putting it's kind of like tier lists. You know how tier lists are like super popular because everyone likes this like feeling of putting things against other things. I was like that as a kid with like I would put tournaments of like my games and like kind of do this where I was like deciding which ones were my favorite, or I would put a tournament together of like my toys and decide which toys I liked best, or like name it. I probably did like a quote unquote tournament of it, and that's part of the reason why I like Monster Rancher so much, because Monster Rancher was the same way. And Deadlocked was the same way. It was like this big tournament you were competing in to get to the top of the leaderboards, and not as much the same as like Monster Rancher, but it did have that feeling of like getting up to the top of the leaderboard that just was like really cool. I think that maybe it belongs on the list. I think I would want to put it like I want to put it here. Pretty high up, but I played a lot of Ratchet and Clank. A lot of Ratchet and Clank. 100% at all the games. And played them a ton as a kid. That whole PS2 era of like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, I was mega into. But Ratchet and Clank more so than the others, I think. Minus maybe Sly Cooper. Yeah, that if you were lucky enough to be a part of that Kingdom Hearts, PlayStation 2 Renaissance, the PlayStation 2 platformer renaissance of like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, you know. If you know, you know. Those were the days. All right. So now we got to talk about Call of Duty 4. So Call of Duty 4 is probably the biggest honorable mention. Yeah, not to mention Kingdom Hearts kind of fitting in that too. Call of Duty 4 is probably the biggest honorable mention because it's the reason that we're here. Call of Duty 4 is the reason that we're here, the reason that any of you are in my chat right now, the reason that our community even exists. It's all thanks to this game. Believe it or not. When I was a kid, I started a YouTube channel and I made a couple Line Rider videos, and I was like, yo, YouTube's pretty dope, but I don't really know what else to do with it. I could make Line Rider videos. Other than that, you know, what's the point of this YouTube thing? And then I went to Best Buy one day, and I went in there to buy something else. I can't remember what it was. I went in there to buy a game. Couldn't even tell you what game it was. But on my way out, I saw Call of Duty 4 for sale. And I had never played a Call of Duty. I had never played an FPS that wasn't called Doom. I don't know what kind of divine intervention happened that day. But for some extremely odd reason, I decided to buy it. Just off a complete whim. Like, just no reason to buy it. No idea what it was. No history with the franchise. No history with the type of game it was. I was not into war stuff at all. History was my least favorite subject in school. Like, there was no reason for me to be into Call of Duty at all. But for some strange reason, I just saw it, and there was some divine intervention that shined on my hand, and I picked it up, and I bought it. And then I played it, and it was my first experience with playing with other people online. It was the first friend I made online. First time I had a friends list that I added a friend and played with them online. And then it snowballed from there, and I already had this YouTube channel with these 2 Line Rider videos on it, and I was like, what if I put Call of Duty videos on it? And so I bought myself a Dazzle, and I started making Call of Duty videos, but I didn't know what to make because I wasn't like, I don't know what to do with it. So I started making glitch videos about glitches that people had taught me. Some of my friends were like, check out these glitches, and I was like, those are pretty cool. I could make a video about that. So I made a video about some glitches in the game, and later that video would go viral. Kind of. Not viral, but later it would be my first million view video. And then started making machinima videos with friends, just as something to do with friends. Then it snowballed from there. And then I started taking the game seriously as a competitive game. I got really good at it. I started doing montages. And then from there, I was like, what if I take this other game that I love, Final Fantasy VII, and I start making videos about that? And then the rest is history. So, yeah, none of this would be a thing without Call of Duty 4. And I wouldn't have even learned how to, like, get along with people online if it weren't for Call of Duty 4. I wouldn't have, like, gotten my feet wet with, like, online communities. And like being a part of online communities, and like I got my first headset, and I got my first, like, I was part of a clan, and then I started my own clan, and people joined my clan, and that was it's like my first true friend group through that game. And at the time, I didn't have a ton of friends at school. I had like one friend that I really hung out with, but like I don't think it was necessarily a point in my life where it was like I needed online friends, but I was definitely a shy kid that only had like 1 or 2 friends that I really didn't play with much outside of school. So this was my way of like having a community, having friends. It taught me a lot about social skills, like the list goes on, man. But long story short, none of us would be here without it. So it's like the ultimate honorable mention. The reason I don't put it on my top 10 is because the game's dead now, and I have no desire to really ever play it again. I played the remaster, and it was like kind of fun, but like I look back on it as fond memories, not as like a game I want to play now. And I already have Black Ops 3 on there for zombies. Call of Duty 4 doesn't have zombies, but I already have a Call of Duty game up there, so like, yeah, honorable mention. Okay, then we have Doom. I love Doom 2016. I also love Doom Eternal. But I feel like it's kind of an honorable mention because regular Doom's already up there. And it's kind of the same. Like, they're very different games, but it's the same part of my brain. The same part of my brain that loves OG Doom is the same part of my brain that loves Doom 2016. You know what I mean? It just fulfills that same thing. I did an Ultra Nightmare run of Doom 2016, and it was definitely one of my favorite challenge runs I've ever done. Yeah, just doesn't feel right putting it on like the favorites list. I think Doom, OG Doom fills that requirement. I will, however, put it a bit higher on the honorable mentions. Okay, Borderlands 2. The reason I put this on honorable mentions is because it's more of a I love playing this game with friends. I really don't play Borderlands otherwise, but I've played through Borderlands 2 many times with many different friends. But that's kind of all it is to me. So yeah, I think I will put it a bit higher on honorable mention, but I think like, yeah, it's just an honorable mention. Okay. Quickly, let's through these. We have Tekken Tag Tournament. Again, not a game that I like play religiously, but I used to play with my family all the time. I think it's safe to say it belongs here. I just love Tekken in general, but like I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at fighting games in general, and I never put enough time into fighting games to actually be good at them. So I don't know if it really belongs on my top list. But I still think it's like a game of my childhood. Castlevania Lament of Innocence has a lot of problems, but it's my favorite Castlevania game. Castlevania in general is a big series that I loved. I loved Dawn of Sorrow. I loved Symphony of the Night. I even loved playing the retro Castlevanias. We played them recently for a Hollow Month, and I really liked them. But I've always said Lament of Innocence is my favorite. There's just something about it I really like. It's probably the one I'm the most nostalgic for. I think I could actually put it on the list, like here. Okay, Sonic Adventure Battle 2. A big childhood game of mine. I remember sitting in the Chow Garden for hours. Sonic in general is a big thing that's kind of been missing on this list. But as the years go on, I care less and less about Sonic Adventure Battle 2. I will say that there's still some really memorable moments. The final boss in this game is unreal. It's such an incredible moment in just video gaming in general. I'll say that till the day I die. But as the years go on, I care less and less about this game, and all the gimmicks and stuff you got to put up with makes it less likely that I'll ever go back and play it. But yeah, I at least think it belongs like at the top of the no list. Mirror's Edge, another one of my first ever speedrun games, even before Dishonored, but it wasn't like a technical speedrun, it was a time trial. I used to do time trials in this game. One of the first games I ever felt like I was truly good at. So definitely holds a special place in my heart, but the game itself is like, eh. Like, I don't remember enjoying... Like, I liked the game, but I liked doing the time trials more. I would put it, like, here. Little Big Planet, again, great game, loved it. I used to make levels in Little Big Planet, have a lot of fond memories with it, but it's definitely not, like, a top game. WarioWare Touched, I mostly just put this on here because it was my favorite DS game. I used to play it a ton. This is still a fun one to go back to and play. A lot of memories with it. I'd put it, like, here. Okay, Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper belongs actually pretty high. Especially the original Sly Cooper. Me and my cousin just eat, sleep, repeat Sly Cooper. Loved it. I also kind of speedran Sly Cooper for a little bit. And also I was part of the original Speed Demos Archive group that helped approve of one of the original Sly Cooper speedruns, which is kind of wild to think now. But yeah, big history with Sly Cooper. I think it probably belongs right in front of Ratchet and Clank. I don't think I'd put it above Monster Rancher, but definitely in front of Ratchet. Okay, then we have Hades. Hades is another one that I feel like just has to cook. I only beat it, what, a year ago? Half a year ago? Has it already been a year? But man, Hades is one of the best indie games ever made. And I am unbelievably excited for Hades 2. I'm like more excited for Hades 2 than I am Rebirth. Like, I think about Rebirth and I'm just like, yeah, it's coming. Like, it's going to be remake again, but even better. I'm excited for it. But it's one of those things that's like, because I knew it was a thing back when Remake came out, like when Remake came out, I knew there was going to be a part 2. So I'm not as excited because like it's been a thing that I know has been a reality since Remake came out, right? But when Hades 2 was announced, I lost my mind. Like, I could not wait to play Hades 2. So I mean, I think Hades is going to be higher up when it has some more time to cook, but I just don't have like any nostalgia for it yet because I just played it recently. But man, it cannot be understated how good Hades is. I like, for now, I really want to put it above my guilty pleasure games. Like, I want to put it here. And I almost even want to put it above Crash, but I feel like the nostalgia just isn't there yet. I'm telling you, man, a couple more years, it's going to be in the top 20. Like, dude, it's so good. Even the music I've been listening to more lately. Man. So, I think I'm going to drop Mega Man X to the no category. Which is fine, because we still got Mega Man 2. Okay, where are we at? Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is like a 9.9 in nostalgia and a 1.5 in actually desire to play it. It's like all nostalgia, but like when I go back and play Sonic 2, I'm like, man, the first 2 levels are fire. I'm done playing now. Like, I don't need to play anymore. Now that I'm past Chemical Plant, I'm all set. Okay, I really like what you call it. What's the Mystic Cave. I like Mystic Cave too, but like, man, I gotta be honest, Sonic ages like milk. Like, the old Sonic games just age awful. The more they age, the worse they get, unfortunately. Now, the big exception to that rule is Sonic 3, but I didn't grow up with Sonic 3, so I don't have the nostalgia for Sonic 3. I have the nostalgia for Sonic 2, but Sonic 2 has not aged well. It's aged better than Sonic 1, but yeah, no, Sonic 3 is the one that you can go back to and enjoy, but I didn't grow up with Sonic 3, so like, yeah, it's just kind of a yikes. I think I'm gonna put it at the very top of the no category, but yeah, unfortunately it's just like, going back to it is rough. And then Shovel Knight again, which I still think probably fits down here. Maybe like I could pop it up to like here. But yeah, I think that's it. So this is, man, this is weird looking at. Like, because there's so many games that I thought, like, okay, Death, what are your top 10 games? Like, Hollow Knight feels like a top 10. Advance Wars feels like a top 10. Legend of Legaia feels like a top 10. BioShock Infinite feels like a top 10. Pikmin feels like a top 10. Flash Revolution is a game I played competitively for years. But then I look at my actual top 10 and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. You know? This top 10 makes sense. It really does. I think the only like really weird one is Black Ops 3, but again, if you watch my video about zombies, you kind of understand why it's there. But yeah, that does feel like my top 10. It's actually not that. It's what, 5 half RPG? No, 6. 6 out of 10 are RPGs. But, you know, Remake's an action RPG. Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG. Chrono Trigger is a fast turn-based RPG. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, like 2 action RPGs, 4 turn-based RPGs. That's fair. We still got our high-action platformer. We still got our high-action FPS. We still got our more slow-paced survival FPS. And we have zombies randomly in there. Also, only one indie game in the top 10, which is interesting, as much as I tout indie games, but that's because old AAA games were good. If I took out all the games pre-2010, it'd be nothing but indie games. Like, like, what's the newest game on here? I guess Infinite. Like, BioShock Infinite and frickin' Horizon Forbidden West are like the only newer games, newer AAA games on here that aren't the remake. Yeah. If this were like post 2010, it'd be like Celeste remake, well, it would be Remake, Infinite, Forbidden West, and then nothing but indie games. Yeah, this feels good. And there's a lot of games that could definitely jump up and down. And these honorable mentions, especially 6 and 5, are definitely going to like move up. But right now, in my current state, this feels right. So this was really fun, man. I really enjoyed doing this, and I'm glad I did this. Now, I'm going to go get some food real quick. And then we are going to look at your top 10 games. And I'm very excited for this. Seraphic's list. Let's see here. Do I hit the laugh track after every single one? Never mind, he's probably gonna have the most based list. Alright, Final Fantasy VII. Ocarina of Time. That's our first Ocarina of Time. Link to the Past. That's our first Link to the Past. Final Fantasy X gets 7. Xenogears is 6 points. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom and not Breath of the Wild. Interesting. 5 points. 4 points to Kingdom Hearts 2. Let's go. That's the first Kingdom Hearts 2 vote. Another Diablo 2. Where'd Diablo 2 go? That was 3 points. Super Mario Bros. 3. With 2 points. And GoldenEye 007 based. 1 point. Yeah, what this is Seraphic in a nutshell, just like me. Huge variety, but RPG heavy at the start, Zelda heavy at the start, and then some variety with Kingdom Hearts 2, Diablo 2, Super Mario 3, GoldenEye 007. Now we have Carrie. All right, I don't know any of these games. See you guys next time. All right, here we go. Time for the OG, Zach. Zach's list. Let's see this. Final Fantasy VII. Think we all expected that. Tomba. OG Tomba. Second favorite game. This man's out of control. I give it a 0. 8 points to Red Dead Redemption. And then 7 points to Red Dead Redemption 2. There was no Red Dead Redemption on our list, and this guy just plopped them both down. Like you don't care. 6 points to Remake. Five points to Uncharted 2, based. You're actually the first Uncharted 2, surprisingly. 5 point, or, no. That was 5 points. This one is 4 points to New God of War. Three points to Astro's Playroom. Now that's a shout. I know Zach loves that game, though. 2 to Spyro. Our first Spyro, believe it or not. And I like that it's the OG as well. You probably feel it the same way as I do. And then God of War Ragnarok. Alright, pretty dope list. Oh god, here we go. Freaking Trev list. Broccoli, 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 broccolives, broccoli lee, broccoli, and Elden Ring. Honorable mentions. Super Metroid, Metal Gear Solid 3, Final Fantasy VII, Dark Souls, Grand Theft Auto, The Witcher, Shadow Colossus, BioShock, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Persona 5. Honorable mentions, Spec Ops The Line, Transistor, Assassin's Creed 4. Wait, there's only one Souls game? This can't be right. Alright, you ready for this? Lily sent us not her top 10, not her top 20, but her top 100. Top 100 games. Look at this. Medieval is number 1. That's dope. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Final Fantasy VII, Nights into Dreams, Resident Evil 4, Bloodborne, Demon's Crest, Super Metroid, Super Castlevania 4, Chrono Trigger, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Sonic Hedgehog 3, Super Mario Bros. 3, Mega Man 2, Final Fantasy 3, Persona 5, Virtua Fighter 2, Resident Evil, Ultimate Doom, Resident Evil 2. Dude, this top 20 already is freaking absolute mega super fire, but I'm not a rapper. Holy crap. So first of all, the plan was to do this morning. It ended up taking the entire day instead. 9 hours it took us to do this. Granted, part of that was me doing my own. But yeah, this was supposed to be a morning project. It turned into an all-day affair. But that's thanks to so many people jumping in. So thank you, because the more people that joined, the more accurate this list is. We have... Do we really have that many games? Oh my god. 376 games. And that's crazy too, because like I was thinking everyone was going to pick the same games for a while. You know, like I was thinking like it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. 376 games. Holy crap. All right. So without further ado, let's have some fun here. Let's see what the top games of our community are. Here we go. Ready? Can you guess the first game? It's gonna shock you. It really will. You'll never guess it. Of course. Final Fantasy VII with 500 points. Nothing is even close. But that's obvious. It's my community. It's our Discord community mixed with some of the Twitch community. Pretty obvious. Now, what's number 2? I actually don't know if I would have guessed this one correctly. Like, I think I would have got it right, but if I really thought about it, but it's not a done deal. But it is indeed Final Fantasy X with 190 points, which is pretty massive actually when you see number 3, or yeah, number 3. Pretty massive jump actually. Because number 3 has 119 votes. Can you guess what number 3 is? It is indeed Chrono Trigger. Very nice to see so much Chrono Trigger love. Now, it gets interesting here because the next one is only 94. So now we're already pretty close. With 94 points, number 4... Direct, think of the 31. Is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I actually wouldn't have guessed that Remake was this high. But a lot of people put Remake like top 3, which is awesome. It makes sense, I think. You know, because I feel like a lot of people included it in their list somewhere also. Even if it wasn't top 5, you know, like just a lot of people had it somewhere. So that's cool. Now, what is number 5? What is the top 5 games of our community? Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and... everyone's saying Final Fantasy IX. Every single person. Final Fantasy IX. Few people said Celeste. Ocarina of Time is number 5. I feel like part of this is because a lot of people put it as number 1. A lot of people had Ocarina of Time as their number 1 favorite game, which makes total sense. So that's probably why, because number 1 is 10 points. So yeah, makes sense. Now, can you guess number 6? Final Fantasy IX. You guys nailed it. One too early, but you nailed it. And number 7 is Celeste. So you were on track. You just missed the Ocarina of Time. Now, let's let me fix these numbers here. Hold on. I'm gonna remove this. Can I remove this row without screwing stuff up? Just for now, so we can see the actual real numbers. So number 8 is tied with Celeste. Link to the Past. Now this next one is wild. 61 votes. Can you guess what's after Link to the Past? Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII. The Final Fantasy VIII crew came out to play. That's pretty wild. But again, like, that's the thing. If you like 8, it's probably like your favorite game, if not top 3. So it gets a lot of points. That's why I feel like Celeste kind of got hurt, because a lot of people had Celeste in like the middle of their lists. All right, I'm interested to see if anyone guesses this one right. What is number 10 with 54 votes? It's actually tied with number 11. Final Fantasy VI, World of Warcraft, Symphony of the Night, StarCraft, Metal Gear Solid 1. I'll tell you this, it's tied with Final Fantasy VI, so you were half right. But the other one, Syphic guessed it. Diablo 2. Diablo 2 and Final Fantasy VI both got 54 votes. 54 points, rather. And then, you guys were close, because a lot of people guessed World of Warcraft, 43, and a lot of you voted Symphony of the Night, 41. Then we have a game that I thought would be higher, Final Fantasy XIV. And then we have, look at this banger, Super Metroid, Final Fantasy Tactics, Kingdom Hearts 2. Final Fantasy XIV was number 14. And then for the last 3, if we're going to top 20, Metal Gear Solid Original, which I find weird. Thought Metal Gear Solid 3 would be higher. Horizon Zero Dawn, which really shocks me. And StarCraft. And then right under that is Baldur's Gate 3 and Nier Automata. And then I'll post this list on the Discord so you can read all the other games. Because at that point, the votes are very close. Points are very close. But I'm really interested in this top 10. Here's our top 10 as a community. Since this started with the whole top 10 discussion. Here is our top 10. Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ocarina of Time, Final Fantasy IX, Celeste, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy VIII, and Diablo 2. That makes sense, man. Like, I'm just trying to think of, like, whenever we discuss favorite games, just randomly in chat, and kind of what people throw out as their favorite games. This definitely makes sense. This definitely feels like, you know, I think Ocarina of Time is a bit odd for me. I feel like whenever I ask what's everyone's favorite game, Ocarina of Time doesn't come up that much. But maybe once people kind of sat down and thought about it, they were like, yeah, Ocarina of Time is really high up there. And I feel like Ocarina of Time was on so many lists, even if it wasn't top 5. Seems like everyone had to at least throw Ocarina of Time a bone and be like, possibly best game ever, got to give it some points, you know? So, yeah. Well, the idea behind this was to have nothing to do with the game quality. That's what I told everyone. Like, nothing, do not look at the quality of the game at all. This is only your favorite games, right? Just what you personally would say are your favorite. But that's the thing, like, so many people respect Ocarina of Time as being so good that they, you know, put it in their list. Which is totally fair. That's kind of how I feel about Chrono Trigger, too. But, yeah, man. This was such a cool experiment to do. Like I said, this was supposed to be a morning, the thing that we randomly did this morning. We randomly got the idea last night. So we're like, oh, we'll do this tomorrow morning. And then it ended up being the entire stream. But I literally read emails and put information into a spreadsheet for 9 hours straight. And this was one of the most entertaining streams I've done in a while. It's just fun, man. It was just fun to talk games, talk about everyone's favorite games. Just, I mean, this was a blast, man. This was really, really fun. It was cool to see everyone's favorite games and kind of their reasoning behind it. Like I said, I'm gonna throw this on the Discord, so if you want to see everyone's like actual list, feel free to check it out. I'll give you a little like drive-by right here, the people on YouTube. You can pause if you want. Give you a little drive-by of each game. There you go. Actually, you know what? Would be better if I did like... Oh, never mind. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Now, it's your job as a community to play every single one of these games in this order. Good luck. You have until 2030. Play every one of these games. From start to finish, in this order. Good luck. Your path is set. God, so many. I can't believe there's over 300 games. That's so crazy. Everyone's got to play that Neopets game. I want to see all the one voters. Can you skip the ones we've already played? What kind of question is that? Absolutely not. You have to play Super Smash Bros. Melee from a fresh file and unlock all the characters. Even if you've Played it professionally for years. Don't care. You gotta start fresh. Delete all of your accounts. Destroy all of your memory cards. It's cool because, like, it's cool to think, like, all these games mean something to someone, you know? This isn't just games that we're saying, like, yeah, objectively it's good. Like, these games mean something to somebody in the community. They put it in their top 10, and top 10 is hard, man. Top 10 is very difficult. So to get it, you know, to a point where you can actually even put these in your top 10, they have to mean a lot to you. Even if it's number 10. I mean, my top 10 felt impossible. I can't believe some of the games I had to leave out of my top 10. All right, so starting with Apex Legends, this is where these ones have 1 vote. So these are just like games that people were like, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's still in the top 10. So I mean, Rip Crisis Core, by the way. Rip Grandia. It still means a lot to them if it's in their top 10, but I just find it funny that these are like super outliers. But some popular games like SOCOM. There you go. There you go. That is our community. Our community list. Awesome, man. That was super duper fun. Yes, thanks everyone that sent in emails. I got so many emails. Crazy. Thank you, thank you. We spent an extra hour. I did this for 10 hours, guys. I've been here for 10 hours.